All these stupid buttons, man. All these dumb buttons. I thought I hit a button and it didn't do it. It's supposed to be up here. This isn't supposed to be. Just imagine Toy Domination logo and then live. That's what's supposed to be happening right now. So that ruined it. Show's over. I'm going to go home. No, so tonight, Adam is going to explain how he paid for college. Brick builds the entire Lego Death Star live in the background of the show. That's going to be interesting. And Jason confesses that AWOK actually stands for all the wonderful old kangaroos. I'm Dom, and I'm joined tonight by Brick.
Hello.
What's up, buddy? And Adam, who's rushing to finish his meal, his last supper. What's going on?
Hi, everybody.
So
it is his last supper, so you're going to enjoy him for as long as the stream. But after that, bye, Adam.
That's it. One time I went on to Ken's show, and it was like at some odd time because of, you Canadians have weird times, I think. And it was right in the middle of my dinner, and it was a late dinner. I was starving. And of course, we ordered wings. So it was like the messiest possible thing I could eat. And it was just sitting there. I was like, Ken, I'm sorry, I'm going to eat these wings while I'm on your show. I was just like, no. I couldn't stop. So it was great. Worked out well. What are you eating tonight?
Yeah.
I
was in a rush. Yeah. I've got rice with hamburger patties and some fried eggs on top.
Oh, okay. All right. It's eclectic. I like it.
Good. I don't think I'm going to get through this Death Star, so I think I'm just going to pause.
I think I'm going to set this to the side. No, I'm not, because I don't want to waste this beautiful runny yolk. But
Brick, that wasn't a promise to the people. That's forecasting what happens during the show. That's the whole point. So that's good. By the end of this episode, we'll have a full Death Star review. And then Jason's going to join us, I think, right? Maybe
he might. He messaged. He has no concept of time.
Oh, good.
So he messaged me about a half an hour ago, and he said, "I had to do something else. Did I miss it?" I was like, "No, you still haven't missed it, but he's not here, so I don't know."
No, that's good.
I'm not sure what's going on. He's got the link. He may jump on at a random time. So yeah.
Okay, so I just want to pause it for a second. I like both your shirts. I like the AWOK shirt. I'm way behind in my swag, and then you've got the Dork Lair shirt, which I thought was it's like gorillas. Oh, I get it. That's clever. That's awesome. And the Dork Lair one was cool because it looks like it's a maze, a D&D style maze written in Dork Lair. Bill showed that. I was like, that is one of the coolest designs I've ever seen. It looks like a death metal album or an old D&D game. I love it. So.
And actually, most people, I wore it to work today, and there's a bunch of D&D heads, and they're like, "Oh, that's a cool map," and didn't even pick up that it was actually
words.
I think it's subtly clever. Hey, and I'll get to the chat in just a second. Go ahead and shout out if you jumped in here. Appreciate everyone joining. But speaking of shout outs, we like to do this little thing where there's a couple comments we want to highlight from some of our previous shows here. So let's see. Man, I can't see anything I'm popping up. I don't know what's going on. Nothing I'm popping.
I saw something. I see it. It's in front of everybody's face.
Yes.
Oh, weird. I can't see it at all.
It's.
Well, you read it for me.
You have problems like I have problems with screen.
Yeah.
The first comment from Sig Toys Art, referring specifically to 12 minutes and 46 seconds into the show.
Right. Yes.
Says you want your sword edge stored facing up always, so gravity doesn't dull it while it rests inside the saya.
This was cool because we were talking about Jinx's blade and how they actually put it on correctly with the curve like that, and everyone jumped in like, "Oh yeah, it's got to be this way." And I was like, "People pointed the wrong way, like the banana side up." I was like, "What?" So that was really interesting. He jumped into that fact too. It's always fun to see artists talk about, because that's what it was. The artist commented on Ibrahim. And how it should be stored. So that was pretty cool. And then we've got Adam jumping in here too.
Rocket packs popping off isn't a major issue? Tell that to the trooper using it whilst rocketing. Shelf show sounds fun. Awesome to see Ibrahim's work on the show subbed.
I love the voice for him. That was spot on. You don't even know the guy was spot on.
Fun fact.
Go ahead.
I was enlisted to record 2 radio advertisements
in that voice
in my life. So no, not at all. And the voice that they wanted me to do was so not me that it was really, really funny. It was quite. It was like a really angsty, aggressive voice, and I was like, "I'm uncomfortable."
Let me hear it. I want to hear it. Wait, I want to hear this demo. I want to hear this demo.
No, I couldn't even do it. Like, I don't even think it ever aired because I think they didn't. It was it was somebody that I know that works in radio that was like, "Hey, you have an expressive voice. I got something I want you to come and do. So I went and had to like go in a little studio booth and do it.
Yeah.
And they were like, more angry. And I was like, I don't do angry.
I'm Canadian.
Yeah, I was like, it was so weird. And it felt so wrong. And I think I did like 4 or 5 takes. And then I think they were like, yeah, thanks. We'll move on now.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then this last one here from Joey Landry. I know it's a song, but I just can't see it.
Clap your hands, everybody. If you got what it takes, it's Dom and Joe, and they're here to show that these are the breaks. A little Curtis Blow to start the show, and these are the breaks. Dems is the breaks. Fun fact, I've met Curtis Blow at UCSB many years ago.
No, nice.
And real quick, I didn't want to blow up your spot, but or I didn't want to mess up your program. But the first one you showed me actually had 2 comments. I don't know if you wanted to ignore the second one or not, because I didn't read it.
My screen's frozen right now. I can't do anything. Can you guys hear me? Jesus. There we go. Yeah, no.
Turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah, I'm about to be honest, and just bail. Let you guys handle this. But yeah, so the other one is actually a future show we're going to do. We're going to talk about why mechs suck, but it's going to be titled Mechs.
How dare you?
Mech Walkers Pro. Yeah, no, but they're terrible. They're terrible.
No.
Really
I get the logical from a logical perspective.
Yes,
yeah. But from a fun as hell perspective, you're
the
just
rule
wrong.
of cool, and that's what we're going to go over. So that's one of our future shows we got here. So let me give a shout out to the chat real quick here. So we've got Bjorn, of course, with Schmebulak. There might be pie, and we'll reveal what kind of pie at the end of the show. FYI, I prefer pie over cake. So every time I have a birthday, I'm like, I just want pie, but all my guests want cake. So I'm always forced to eat cake instead.
Spoiler alert, it's a pizza pie.
Hello all. Hello, Bob. Oh, I will be joining Bob and Outer Multiverse this Sunday as a guest. I love being able to guest because when there's technical problems, it's not my fault.
You can eat too.
Yeah, there you go. Chicken wing, bring on the wings. Don Bennett will be walking into the ocean. I'm tempted to walk in the ocean with all my clothes every day. Tim, what's going on? We've got Red Zomac 5. God, I hate having to read names.
Just go Red 5.
Every time I got to read names for the first time, I just feel like I'm illiterate. Oh, the Retro Tinker.
So Red 5 is a regular on my show, and I think Brick's show too. And I so one day I was just like, I'm just saying Red 5. I'm not gonna read it the way that it's written anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing Red Exomac 5 and Red 5, so let me know if Red Exomac is wrong.
There we go. We'll correct it on this show. This will be canon. Collecting Brothers, Blood Beast Seb. God,
Beast Seb.
Beast Seb. Beast Seb. Got it. All right, man. Audi Multiverse, Famine. Hey, what's going on? I'm also going to be coming on the Famine show eventually too. That'd be fun. I get to take a break and go on and help people. Scott Baker, Brick and Tire. Brick, you're never late. We're just glad you're here. Joey Adams, I've been chatting with you all day, which is kind of funny. And Fat Red Foo, and we're going to pause there because it keeps building up, and this is great. Hey, thanks everyone who's joining. Thanks everyone who catches the show post and the after shows. Tonight we're going to talk about AWOK. I've never talked about this in my channel because why would I bother? There's many other people who are doing a better job about talking it, but my kids were so enthused with the figures that we got from Joe Fest that they entered our top 10. We met Jason. I was like, you know what? Let's finally have this discussion on Toy Dom and bring this over here. And Adam, your insights to toy production, you were in the chat just blowing it up once we were talking about Kickstarters. And like, all right, let's go. Come on.
Actually,
yeah, there he is. Yes, that's one of them. That guy and the magic user, so cool. Our favorite.
Good choice. Good choices.
Yeah.
Good choices.
So, but first, before we get into all that stuff, we're gonna go over some toys of the week here. Some what you got. So I'm gonna play the animation for everybody else. I won't be able to see it. But oh no, I can see that this time. Hey, I got it. All right.
Because it's preloaded in.
Yeah, I don't know. It's magic,
Yeah.
sorcery. It's the Russians. All right, guys, what cool toys do you have?
Oh,
How's that Death Star coming?
The Death Star is like chilling. I'm telling you, it's not happening. First off, the first thing that like both of these, I just realized, yeah, these are actually from this week. Odious by Unparalleled Universe. It's not focused, but yeah, he's got extra clothes on because I got the naked one because my shelf just as dope as like his hoodie and his flannel
Yeah.
look and jeans, that doesn't quite fit. Like it's like furry shorts over here and our sci-fi armor. So I actually borrowed some clothes from Animal Warriors of the Kingdom.
Okay, cool.
And I've got other clothes I don't want to try on him, but this just happened to be the first thing I did. And this I think this is like an AliExpress thing. But he's cool, man. I'm having a blast with him. And then
wait. So I saw your I saw your post on that figure. Your post on IG, and I was like, what is this guy? What line is this from?
Oh, are you not familiar?
No,
gotcha.
No, I totally didn't know.
Really?
Okay, so there is another toy tuber,
No,
Unparalleled Universe. Wade over an Unparalleled Universe. Shout out Bay Area, South Bay out here. And he did a Kickstarter for this single figure. And he's got like a clothed variant. So what I was describing was the sort of like main outfit that he comes with, which is like a red and black flannel with a gray hoodie.
Yeah.
And blue jeans. And the idea is that he's the living curse. So he can be in multiple forms at any time period, etc. Like this curse can essentially come to life in the form of this Sasquatch, really. And so it's highly posable, all of the nines. It's actually really cool. The strong point for me, the best part of this is the articulation.
Yeah.
He feels great. And for like this is a very first figure they've ever done. He's ever done, Wade, and the creative team. And it's pretty cool. There's like, and it has toes. I'm not a big fan of the articulated toes, but it works. And he actually stands super well compared to like say some of the other lines that I have that have toes. Articulated toes. He moves very similarly to actually Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, which is
yeah.
It looks similar.
Yeah, very
articulation
much, yeah.
standout. It's a different sort of diaphragm and torso, and abs scheme, but yeah, this armor fits very well, and you can kind of see them side by side. AWOK runs a little bit bigger,
yeah,
but this thing. So I got the naked version, which is a little cheaper on the Kickstarter. I think it's like $50. But it literally, like, this is weird. It has this one head and 4 other heads, and it has these hands and 7 other pairs of hands.
Whoa!
as well as this is his weapon.
Super 7 involved?
Nope, Super 7 is not involved. But it's cool. It's just like got a ton of
that's really cool
expressive options for hands.
Yeah.
There's an AWOK hand in there. And then these 4 heads with like different sort of expressions. Like, there's a woo and so
they definitely sculpted it after you with your expression. I see.
Yeah.
Got it.
As well as the one that I had. So like 5, it's cool. It's really like that's his thing. A highly articulated stuff. He's kind of shooting like a Mezco type lane, I guess. And really with photographers in mind. So
obviously, yeah.
And he did a SDCC exclusive that was like a red jumpsuit, a la Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. And so soft goods is kind of where he's leaning in. And so yeah, it's cool.
Cool. You got a question here right below. Right.
Brick. Yes, that is the same that Action Figs Ed has been showing off, and way too much articulation on. You're not wrong, John. You're 100% right. And real quick, the second one that I got was, I have a couple of origins. I mainly do Masterverse, but I really like this head and could just use maybe a little bit of paint at some point.
Yeah. Huh.
But and it also comes with the masks of power that are basically heads.
Oh,
so,
cool.
I mean, it's origins. It was sub $20. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's a really cool sculpted head. So, and I will say I don't collect these, but all of the cartoon ones that I've seen are fantastic.
Yeah.
Tila's amazing. Evil Lynn's amazing. Beastman looks cool. Not my thing as far as like the animated look, but and I do Masterverse, so
yeah.
But that's it.
That's awesome. And thank you, Sig, for smashing it with a mech. Looking forward to that conversation. I really, so I haven't, Joe's big into the origins. I'm good. But the TMNT mashup ones,
Oh, yeah.
oh my god, they're so if they
got
were in
2 of them.
stores whenever I walked, yeah, I would get those. They're so fun, and every time Joe shows them off, I'm like, that is such a great toy. Like, what a great toy. Like, I hate that I haven't seen them. So.
What's
How do
funny
you
is
feel about
didn't-
the? Go ahead, Brooke.
Or I was just gonna say, I said I don't collect them. You said you collect them now, and then you said, oh yeah, those TMNT ones. I was like, oh yeah, I've got 2 of them over there. In fairness, I got those because some Endless Fables took AWOK figures and took the armor off of those and did some really cool things with the AWOK figures. So it all comes back to this. Even my Odious had AWOK. We're in theme. We're in theme.
Adam, what were we gonna ask?
How do you feel about the was it? I don't understand. Like, is it named or was it hinted at? The Thundercats Origins.
Oh yeah,
crossover.
It was named. Like
they're doing it. They're doing it. Yeah,
they are doing it. Huh. They are teasing it. It's super early. They did not say if it was Origins or Masterverse, but they also said, "Hey, we did so well with Turtles. We're doing a crossover with Turtles." They just showed the logo, and that. I mean, sorry, with Thundercats, they showed the logo, and that was all they said.
That's so. And again, like. I shamefully like the TMNT one because I'm like, that's such a nostalgia pull. Like, come on, how many more turtles?
Is it because you're a Turtles guy though?
How many more turtles do we need? How many more He-Man do we need? And I saw them. I'm like, oh, those are so good. I hate how good I like them. You know what I mean? So yeah. So no, they're great. All right. What Adam? What do you got?
So I got a bunch of stuff because I got stuff. Well, I'll go through it and first thing I got, the STCC Ghost Groon.
Wow.
So speaking of...
did you go to STCC?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
I waited patiently until Monday when Super 7 put these online, and I ordered it like a normal person that can't go to San Diego. And they had them. I was told on pretty good authority that they were going to be there and available, so I didn't even ask anybody that went to try to get.
Oh my god! I already saw the next one. Are you kidding me right now?
But I also got this guy delivered. No. So then I also got a package from ecollectibles.ca, my go-to online retailer. So I got Snarf.
What in the Snarf, man?
Chitara.
Oh, nice. There you
go.
To
get Chitara, but better late than never, I suppose. Then I got some G.I. Joe stuff. So I got this wave. I already opened.
Yes.
Torch and so I got those to open. I also got in that pack.
Fun.
And by the stinger, I mean I got 2 stingers.
Did you? That's great.
You have 2 his tanks too, right?
Yeah, of course.
I forget. Didn't they come with missiles?
Stinkers? No.
No, missile. Didn't they come with a towing thing? Or am I making that up? I think I'm making that up.
No, you could buy the HMS, the towable, which
separately.
I also have, which is
right
there.
Yeah.
Got it. There.
Yep.
Which I'm probably gonna put on my stinger.
Yeah, because it needs more missiles. So
because it needs more. I mean, it's a tank that can already sort of take anything out, but why not add more missiles?
Desperately needs fly. It's coming. It's at the end of the show. And
my wife went to the grocery store, and our grocery store is kind of our grocery store is like the inverse of a Walmart. So it's like it's like primarily groceries, but there's also a small section that's like clothing and like toys and pharmacy and all that kind of stuff. And she knows that when she goes there, the first thing that she does is she goes to the toy section and she looks for things that are on clearance and stuff like that.
That's a keeper.
Because they do clearance, right? It's a grocery store. They don't know. They don't care. And she picked me up a Lego Mario underwater expansion set, which I'm very, very excited about.
Can I ask what that goes for on clearance?
You can, but I don't know.
But you don't know. I'll ask. I'll ask Amanda. I'm curious.
And it would be in Canadian dollars, but it was like when I kind of looked it up, it was about 30% off. So
right. Oh, okay.
And then I will. So my last pickup is not so much a pickup as it's what I got in the mail, and I only bring this up because I got my sort of quarterly Lego. catalog,
Yep.
which sort of lists all the sort of new sets and all the whatever. Just highlighting sets. It's not a full catalog or anything like that. But when my wife handed this to me, when she sort of got home with the mail, I realized this is just about the only catalog that's still out there.
Yeah.
And I'll look at this for probably 2 hours tonight.
Yeah.
And it's like there was like a wave of nostalgia followed by a wave of sort of sadness that we don't get. I even remember, you'd get little inserts in boxes with was it Mattel that did?
What's up, buddy?
Or Kenner. Kenner used to do the little catalog with like, you
sure.
get Nerf.
G.I. Joe would do that too.
Joe's did it. Yep.
Yeah.
Fold out like.
And now we don't. Now it's all just online, and it's kind of we don't have commercials with Saturday morning cartoons anymore. We don't have the catalogs. We don't have a Sears catalog. We don't there's all these things that sort of like pushed us to buy more toys, and like none of it exists anymore. It's crazy.
I'm okay with that. I love the fact you have a cat. As soon as you just pulled that out, I was like, how intriguing. In fact, hold on, I gotta how does one get a Lego catalog?
Dude, just go online.
You just gotta buy a bunch of Lego.
No, just go online and you can sign up and they'll send it to you.
Hey, what's up, PLM 221?
You'd be proud of me, man. I got some Joes too.
Oh, I knew you got that.
I want those. I want that Jink so badly. Here, let me catch with the chat really quick here. Yep. So you're never gonna get to Tokyo if you keep getting those amazing hauls. Right?
You know what I realized though?
Go on.
That's a reference to my show on Sunday. What I realized was I've already prepaid for all my toys for the next like 2 years.
Oh,
so I could just like take a break and then just wait for them to show up in stores after I get back from Japan. And I'll just have to buy them. I'll just have to buy them in store. So
I was about to say, you'll say that you're like, I'm prepaid. Yeah, exactly. You're like, well, that's in the bank. So really, I'm free and clear now, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then this is a very true statement. So missiles and drones are the future of war, at least for the next 15 years. Then we're going to counter-proliferate those. And then will be the next thing, which you're absolutely right. I desperately need the next wave of AWOK. And I want to give Mongrel his new home. Okay. And then greetings, and then here we go. It's visual and therefore visceral offense. He really wants that Mongrel. JC Penney catalogs. There you go.
JC Penney.
Yeah. A lot of girls' toys looking with little inserts. Oh yeah, so some of my boy Tristan gets Pokemon. Those always come with inserts. They're small, but still. Instead of catalogs, we have internet leaks. Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough. It's a bummer.
Yeah. And then we got another one. Sears catalogs, toy layouts. My first inspiration for Diron. Oh yeah, they had some really epic ones. The ones that stood out to me were the fake Voltrons, the one that were vehicles that would transform. Like they did so much lighting and cool. Like those were rocks and everything. That was really cool, man. You're right. Those are pretty neat. That's an awesome pull there, Adam. Oh crap! I guess I gotta do mine, huh? I only have two. I'm not going to pull up my second camera here because they're really small. I bought shelves again. So if you notice this gap over here, the shelves I had to take down and move to that side of the room. And we're changing the whole layout down here. So my toy budget all went to shelves. But Famine gave me heads up that these dudes were on sale on Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and do my thing here. So I got a 2-pack of these dudes. They're the Joy Toy Army Builders.
Nice.
I have the original ones of the White Vipers where this is white and they're in gray. And the concept of the Army Builders, of course, is that these are very simple. Like, I don't think there's any real paint. No, they did some paint on some of this. Like, some of his pouches are painted up. And he's got multiple colors and stuff in there. But, and something broke. But yeah, they went on sale. And I was like, ooh, neat. So I grabbed 2 of them. And then somebody else said, hey, there's these guys on sale. I was like, crap. So I bought 2 more later on, but they're still coming here. So these are the only actual toys that I bought, but yet I've invested a lot into my toy room. So that's kind of the focus for the next couple of months is every toy paycheck. I'm like, go buy a thing, go buy a light, go buy a whatever. But yeah, that's all I really got. It's not that exciting, but they're pretty fun.
How are you on the what Adam brought up in terms of how many things you have on pre-order this year?
Oh no,
that'll be coming through.
I actually have gone the very opposite. I have purged almost all pre-orders. I don't pull from Big Bad anymore. Collect. What's the other one I used to go to? I don't know. Like the only ones that I sign up for are I pick and choose Marvel Legends waves. So the one with the demons waves and the mythical waves, like, oh, I like all those. I got that one. But everything else that's been coming out, I was like, pass. Unless it's like, I like how they've been doing this recently, where it's not even pre-ordered. Like it comes out and then you get it like a couple weeks later. So I've been getting a few of those. But yeah, pre-orders were killing me because they were so inconsistent, and they would just pop up at the worst times where I'm like, no, I already spent my toy money. Why would you hit now? You're not due for 3 months, And it would, or I still haven't gotten my Lexington gargoyle. It's been sitting there in Big Bad for literally 2 years, literally as long as I've had this channel. It's been sitting there on pre-order. So I'm like, man, I'm just done with it. So
I'm in a similar place with Adam, where most of my pre-orders are ones that I've pay up front for. So whether it's Horseman or Spiro or Kickstarters, like that's all gone. And so I did what Adam did recently, and I thought about everything that's supposed to be coming this year, and I'm in trouble, not because I'm going to get hit with a bill, but I'm going to be sitting like in a pile of
when they do all
boxes.
So we are going to talk at the end of tonight for news, the new Cosmic Legions wave, because my sons and I are really excited for that one. I passed on the Mythic, the last one. It just hit at a bad time, and I was like, these are cool. And that Cosmic Legion one came up. I was like, never mind, we're getting Cosmic Legion, so we're committed to that one. So we'll go over that at the end of tonight because they are pretty fancy. Cool. Yep. Smash the like button. Thank you, man. Rocco the Great. Tough to take that toy money and purchase. Like, yeah, exactly. So we bought this house in June. So now like every fun project that I get to do is actually like painting kitchen cabinets or sanding down. And I'm like, every time I'm out there, I'm like, I could be working on toys right now. I could be building another spaceship right now, but instead I'm like sanding cabinets. So all my toy money goes to shelves, and all my free, hobby time's going to that. So we're like surging. And then as soon as it gets a little bit cooler, my wife will shrivel up and go hibernate upstairs, and then I'll be able to do plenty of stuff. So cool. All right, let's talk AWOK. So for those who aren't I'm sure everyone's familiar with this line by now, but why don't I just give a cool pitch here real quick?
Go for it, Adam.
AWOK is a sort of 7-inch figure. They're sort of comic book based. Toys are sort of the primary sort of purpose. Jason's big thing is that the toys have to be toys, and so it's a futuristic, but there's high fantasy kind of elements in there. It's so many parts of your nostalgic brain being maximized and optimized in sort of one package. The first Kickstarter and the first couple waves have been cats and monkeys and apes and things like that primarily. And going forward, we just finished a second Kickstarter, and now we're getting into reptiles, we're getting into birds, we're getting into pachyderms. So lots of species to come. All species are on the table. There's nothing that says we can't make an axolotl or a Newfoundlander or whatever. It just it's wherever the story takes us, and Jason is the creator and the sort of creative force behind it, and I am the guy that tells him you can't do that. That's not financially a good decision. So I'm not the pitch guy so much as I am the example that I came up with is sort of like he's like Pinocchio, and I'm a little bit like Jiminy Cricket. And I can do is tell him what I think is like the best thing to do, and he goes, nope, and just does his own thing. So that's
chat. Keep it going. I see what you're doing. Keep it going. So here we go. So we've got some nothings off the table. So we have insects.
Strong possibility.
Octopus.
Haven't really talked about an octopus yet, but we have talked about the idea of if the comic book gets to the seas, then that opens a whole new aquarium worth of species and things like that. So
That's awesome. Basset hounds.
dogs are already in there. There's
Yeah.
Grimes is a bulldog, and we've got a fox. So we're starting to sort of get the body types and the bucks that will allow us to do stuff like basset hounds.
I want to say, isn't there like a Doberman too, if I remember from one of the background shots of a guy with a.
There's definitely more dogs
Like,
in the
yeah,
in
like
the
a
comics,
hound,
sort of
yeah.
dog-faced
In the horrid
creatures, and there's a hyena, and there's so there's definitely stuff like that going on.
Here, let me first off, I was posing these around really quickly because I will say to me these are just fantastic in terms of posing, and as many people have said, like, you can pose this thing up, you can give them to younger people to just mangle them and do whatever, and they are just great. Like, they're solid figures.
So that was one of the things that we were impressed with. So the first Joe Fest we went to in 23, Joe and I saw the booth, and I was like, oh, hey, there's these guys. We've never gotten one of these before. I was like, well, this will be the first time I'll get it. I'll take these home to my boys, right? And we got gosh, I'm terrible with all the names. It's actually I could probably point to you on the tabs here, but it was from Wave 1. Yeah, here we go. Wave 1, right? And
Lexion and Vero Atlas.
No, he just got those this year.
No, this guy here, the tiger, right? So Finn is
Tiberius.
So animal crazy, right? I was like, of course, we gotta get a tiger, of course. But honestly, I think what it is, it's this pale armor that's on him right there. Like, it kind of like flattened out the orange a little bit. And every time I picked him up, I was like, you're cool, but why don't I love you? Right? I was like, and it was the same thing with the Horrid Ravager too. I was like, oh man, like, why don't I love this more? Like, that's a mandrill, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, like I like mandrills. That's unique. Like, no one's done a mandrill before too. But I was like, I just don't love these figures. I'm like, oh man, this is cool though. But nothing wrong with them, right? But then we saw the new wave that came out, which we'll go over here in a minute. And we went to Joe Fest and we saw, hold on, let me go back one. Where's the let me go back this way. Here we go, wave 2, right? That's the Joe Fest. And I was like, what? These are really cool. I like must have slept or grabbed the wrong two just for our taste. But this is the one I got for Finn. And we literally play with this every other day, whenever we play. Like, he is so cool. The colors pop, the character, the face, like the magic, like all this stuff. And what's funny about Finn is he doesn't like loose armor. He doesn't like anything because he's like, it slips in my hands when I play with him. I'm like, oh, really? And I never thought about that before, right? So he likes that everything's tight on it, that the gauntlets and everything are one piece. And I was like, man, so that honestly, those two figures tipped us over the edge. And I was like, guys, we need to go bigger on this line. So
nice.
So yeah, these are really good.
I will say, like, it's funny to hear the kids' feedback because the armor, you mentioned the gauntlets, all one piece, but it's like it's all removable. So these are definitely things that can go on and off, but they are so well sculpted and fit the character so well, and the materials. I think the choices are spot on to where they stay. And I put them on like Odious, I was showing you, but they're loose on him, so your kids would hate this. And I get
exactly. Yeah, it's funny. And Finn is very play focused. So his favorite Spider-Man. So just how you're whipping that character around, he puts any toy he gets through the test. He's like, Dad, it doesn't do this, So, like, I can't pose like this, and he'll tinker with them and put them in poses. So with AWOK and Spider-Man, he was doing the same kind of stuff. He's like, oh, look, Dad, he can thwip too. He calls it, thwipping. And so I was like, Dad, that's just a testament to one that articulation doesn't always get in the way. Like, I think we've had this conversation before. Like, sometimes you're too articulated or whatever, but it's the play factor that enhances. I was like, man, it's real. Again, it was eye-opening for me this year. And I was like, all right, we're in, man.
And
here
tight.
we go.
These things, they're not loose. Everything is like, I'm constantly impressed. I was saying that about Odious. This, I believe, is this Wave 1, whatever. They were the part of the first Kickstarter, and then all the early ones, like, these were amazing to me when they came out. It's like, they're solid.
Go ahead.
Just to sort of add to that, and I mean, we've had the same like demo figures for a whole bunch of conventions. So like figures that have been out of the box that basically when people walk up and they're not really familiar with the line or whatever, we're like, here, play with this. Like pose it, bend the legs, bend the arms, see what poses you can get it in, on and on and on. And they're still tight. Like they haven't, sometimes you get figures that are like tight out of the box, but as soon as you kind of like, I don't know, like break that seal almost, then they sort of start getting looser and looser.
Yeah.
And those ones, the demo ones that we encourage people to like push them to their limit, are still like they hold their pose. Like if we pose them and leave them, we'll pose them at the end of the evening when we set up, and then in the morning they're exactly where we left them.
Yeah.
So they're fabulously made. And that's down to a few things. I mean, we have a great factory, we have a great project manager, but a lot of it is sculpting too. So Arlen and Dan are kind of the two main sculptors, and the work that they do to sort of make sure, like, they really get it. They really understand the assignment that like these are toys first. And so they have to look really good, but they have to really speak to, your kids, Dom, and my kids, and like they, Jason is 100% of the opinion that, this line could be a line that our kids are sort of buying vintage figures of 30 years down the line. He wants
retro. Exactly.
He doesn't want to just sell to 40-year-olds. It's like he wants these to be something that kids are playing with and experiencing toys in the way that we did when we were our kids' age.
Do you think that makes them more or less?
What are you gonna be? Perfect. That's right.
Playable.
I think so. Yeah, because I think if your end design is to actually not just have the 40-year-olds collect them and put them on their shelves and forget about them, but it's really to make them, you can pose them up, you can play with them. Kids aren't going to complain that the armor's loose. But kids, if they wanted to, can take them apart, which is what I did here. If you're wondering, that's why he's naked and you see his underwear. The legs pop off, the feet pop off. Because I was taking off his armor to put on Odious. Like they can do that kind of thing, right? They can, I love it. And I will say, in his pitch, Adam broke down that like, look, yes, there's a story, but they're toy first, 100%. I feel like we've done a good job of going through that. But let me just back up real quick, because a lot of people have these questions about what about this animal? What about this animal? Maybe to help explain it.
Yeah.
We're talking about a future of humanity where humans, shock and awe, don't do a good job of taking care of their planet and essentially have to abandon it in arcs. Giant,
that is a fantasy.
Spaceships.
I mean,
think Prometheus, or think Battlestar Galactica. But all the humans are sort of like on there and sort of asleep, and AI are navigating to try and find a new planet. However, on their way out, they gathered all the DNA and all the, the building blocks of life on their former planet. And so they land on this planet as humans, but the AI basically has a reckoning and says, you know what? You all did such a horrible job on your original planet. I've brought you to your new planet. Here's what's going to happen. I am actually going to infuse you with species that for some reason on your old planet did a much better job of living in balance in nature. So that's why. And so it decided to do some genetic engineering with these humans and essentially transform them into animal warriors. And that's what you're looking at when you're looking at these characters. These were actually, if they were the first sort of generation, were once human beings that were infused, but with the DNA of animals that remarkably look like a lot of animals from our world. So maybe these are actually our future selves.
I found
maybe
Jason.
Not. Good.
He made it.
I sent him a message. I was like, hey, man, we've been starting for 24 hours. You joining? But that's when you heard the thing fall. But that said, that's the story. So really, if it exists in their planet originally, like maybe a basset hound or an octopus, it absolutely could make its way into the future if that's where the story
or a dinosaur
goes. Sure, because all the DNA is there. We don't know if they collected past life or what. hence the Animal Warrior. So
That's awesome.
and if I could just shout out, man, the comic book is fantastic. This guy Jason is absolutely a dope toy maker, but he's a dope storyteller and is working with a dope artist to tell some really great stories. We're getting issue 5 soon to finish up the first arc.
Because one, I'm
We'll
an
see
avid
trades
comic
from there.
collector.
Yep. So basically, bye, Dom. Hi, we're
Dom.
taking over. This is now King Domination. And so yeah, anyway, that's all. I want to make sure that like people get like the toys are great, but they're also backed by great entertainment, which it doesn't get much more 80s than that. Like it's the formula. Great storytelling, but most people don't even realize it. They just go, oh, those are great toys, and either way, you're happy. So
And as far as the comic book goes, the comic books are available through any local comic book shop that has a Diamond account, which is literally every comic book shop in the world, as far as I'm aware. If they're carrying Marvel and DC, well, never mind. Marvel's now anyway. If they're carrying comic books, they're probably carrying Diamond distributed stuff. So hit up your comic book shop and ask for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom comic book. The comic book is fantastic. People are asking kind of lore questions, and what I will say is, if you want to know more about the lore, either pick up the comic book or check out Bricksomething's channel, because Brick and I have done a whole bunch. Hey Dom, what's going on?
hey, dude, thanks for joining us today. Welcome.
My laptop just decided to just stop, and everything crashed and shut down on me. So I was like, "Cool, no, that's fine. It's just mid sentence." But you guys go on. I don't want to interrupt.
The comic book is available in comic shops, but as I was saying, if you want the lore distilled and then sort of regurgitated by two guys that have no idea what's going on behind the scenes as far as the comic book goes, Brick and I talk about the comic book lore. No, we don't. Jason gives us some stuff.
That's becoming less and less true. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. In some respects, yeah, that's true.
And I just sent you a link in the private chat. If you could share that, that's a playlist of both Adam's and my sort of like this thing that we collectively called AWOK Talk or AWOK Talk Live Monkey Business. Because that's how this all kind of started. Before, Adam was using the pronoun we when describing Animal Warriors of the Kingdom and Spiro, right? It was just like two fans who were like, this stuff is cool, let's talk about it, because kind of there wasn't, at least from our perspective, there wasn't enough attention, and I still don't think there is. So
no, I agree.
So happy that you give us the opportunity to talk to your folks more about it. And
so this is one of those lines where you can have some critique on. Oh, am I?
A little bit.
Less loud now. How about now? Better? I'm a booming.
We need you at
like Is that better?
It's fine.
Go for it.
Rick, is that good? Is that good now?
I don't know if there are any Disney people, but it's like Anaheim Jungle Cruise.
Thank God. This is going swimmingly for me on my end, by the way. So, no. So one of the criticisms could be that it's more cartoon style, right? So when you sit it next to Mythic Legions or like Savage Crucible, it doesn't have the realism of those lines either, right? So there's a little bit of a clash there. But just like if you were to put Motu next to Mythic Legions as well, right? Like you can obviously see those things that. But for my kids, it's transparent. They don't see that at all, right? They put the two next to each other. We had an elf fighting one of the AWOKs just earlier today, right? I don't know if you all have talked that before, but that was there you go. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
no, there's definitely an element that sort of has a cartoony element, and that's kind of down to the design work that Utama has done. Kind of the main lead sort of artist for it, and a lot of that's down to his style. But I'll be perfectly honest, like this works so well for me because it's cartoony. There's so much stuff that it's like so realistic and like almost like hyper realistic, where people are like, I want it to look real, and I'm like, these are still toys though. There's a weird thing going on where I want toys that sort of remind me of like Disney stuff and remind me of cartoons that I watched and stuff like that. I don't need my toys to be sort of real world accurate. And so I do get that, if you want to mix them, it might be a little bit harder sometimes with the sort of cartoony aesthetic and proportions. But keep in mind that you're talking about, a 6 foot tall monkey man. So how realistic do you want that, and why? Like, it just for me, they work really, really well with Mythic Legion stuff. They work perfectly with Super 7 stuff. The Ultimates line is like the exact same scale. And so I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a different take, right? Like, not every line looks the same, and even if you compare lines that are somewhat realistic, they don't all work.
Sure.
Right.
They're like, I love classified figures, and they're kind of realistic, but I'd say they're like 60% realistic rather than some lines that are 80% realistic. So it's sort of like, where's the line, and how do you?
I think it comes, and you defended Super 7 before, right? And I think it comes down.
I didn't defend it. I just say that I like Super 7 and I understand what they're doing.
That alone is a defense. That alone is a defense, right? So nowadays, like, that's like,
what I've been accused of. Yeah,
I'll defend it.
But the point is, and you point this out, like, hey, that's the style I like. Like, all your criticisms are something I like. Like, I don't like orange juice. It's like, well, I do like orange juice. So I think it's the same thing. It's like, I like toys that look like toys. I like cartoony toys.
Yep.
This is spot on for that, right? And I would agree. Like, what it's trying to accomplish, it nails.
Yeah, and I'll also say, like, you're a comic book guy, Dom, and so is Adam. Like, on the one hand, you can have, like, you can have a Jim Lee. And then on the other hand, on the spectrum, you can have, say, an Alex Ross.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Right? And so that's going for clearly more of a photorealism. Alex Ross,
you could go John Romita.
Sure. And Alex Ross is definitely more photorealistic, but also Alex Ross is, like, particularly talented and can make that look dynamic as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like, but I like them both. And, I enjoy them, or, I enjoy one over the other. Great. I was trained by comics to be like, you like X-Men? Great. Hang on, because for the next month, you've got some great art and some really cool stories. And then for the next couple weeks, ooh, that's kind of ugly, and I got to sit through it. And I'm back to something else that I like.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to toys, I'm kind of the same way. I don't necessarily want them all to look the same. And I was talking about how, like, the highly articulated stuff, which I love. And then I do have some Super 7s, and I do have some Masterverse that aren't quite the best when it comes to articulation, but there's another piece. So each holds its own weight, right? So, like, you're using it to compare it, like you use the comic artist, I think, as a spot. I love that every show we have goes back to comic books at some point in time. Like, I hope that's a theme. Like, that's good. Last week I had to, like, keep bringing it back, and we kept diverting to comic books. I'm like, man, I just want a comic book episode, but it's not. But yeah, you talk
just
about,
wait till we come out with AWOK cards.
Oh man, there you go, man. I got it. My sleeves and binders are all ready, man. Yeah, and I think that, like you said, it's like, what's your flavor? And I think that this doesn't have enough awareness. You're right. And I think that it could scratch a lot of people's itches. Like, if people are biting at the bit for Motu Origins and Super 7, then this could fall in that same kind of theme or style choice. You know what I mean? Same taste, so to speak.
It's palette. There's a difficulty, though, and I mean, this is I totally get this. I totally understand why. There's a difficulty with a new IP. There's so many toy collectors that are looking for, that nostalgia factor, and sort of looking for an element of, like, this is what I always wanted when I was young.
Yeah.
And so in some respect, this doesn't have that immediate draw, right? So it is a unique and original IP, and so for a lot of people, they're kind of, this, especially with the first couple waves, right? People saw the swords and shields and thought this was sort of like a medieval sword and sorcery line, and then when a figure comes with a big old shotgun and he has a cigar and he has pants, people are like, wait, what's going on here? Because they don't know the lore and they don't necessarily know the background of the IP, and so it's a little bit of a slow burn too. Like the number of people at conventions that still go, oh, what is this? I've never heard of this, is decreasing, but it's still there. Like it's still, and so we haven't reached everybody, which is fine. I mean, eventually we'll get there and sort of dominate the world, and your local toy store will have a full aisle of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. It'll be lunch boxes, pencil toppers, the figures, sticker packs.
Perfect. That's the dream.
Puzzles, like all that stuff. But we're not there yet. Like, so
you said too, like, yes, it's new IP, but you had said at the beginning of the show, like, it lends to what we're familiar with, right? So Thundercats is a mix of sci-fi fantasy. He-Man's a mix of sci-fi fantasy and like a weird sword and sorcery post-apocalyptic, right? So like that should lend, like, immediately when I saw that in a package where it had the cool stock had like tape wrapped around, I was like, oh, okay, this is like a blend. I get it. Tristan, my oldest son, cannot stand that. He hates blending of themes. He's like, oh, get the guns out of the magic and get to the magic. He's like, these two shall never meet in the middle. But Finn's like, I don't care, man. Like, it makes sense, right? Knight can pick up a gun, or fly in a jet. He doesn't care, right? But I tried to explain to Tristan, like, I was like, it's like He-Man. He's like, well, I don't like He-Man. Then I was like, well, no, bold words. But I get it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but
can I just say, on that note, and we're talking about comics, and part of my point is, like, all of those things can exist and be awesome and fun.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's no right way or wrong way of doing toys. You even mentioned Adam sort of talking about like those who collect for nostalgia. That's awesome.
That's cool.
That doesn't negate though, like, folks trying to do something new. And I will say though, so like I totally get folks and respect folks who are collecting, trying to like go after the things that they've always wanted. But can I just throw out there that every time people are like, man, Hollywood is losing its creativity.
I know.
And then here we are just trying, like, getting upset that they're not releasing the toys from our childhood exactly the way they were. Like, don't change the color.
No, the way we want them to be.
Either,
like, sure, either both, like, and both at the same time.
Yeah,
exactly the way we remember them, but also with way more articulation and a different paint app, and like, it's.
And if I can just say, my point in that is not to say stop it, don't collect for nostalgia. No, continue, do that, get Hasbro to give you the more retro card back, great, but then don't crap on all the other cool new designs. Like, just
innovative,
enjoy them all, and more people will buy this thing called G.I. Joe, and then you can keep getting the, like, that's the thing that trips me out, because I've heard people like will just see this and go like, no interest, like, what is that? I don't get that. It's like, okay, fine, do me a favor, just, it's cool,
I heard a hilarious quote that's on brand to this, right? So it's not that toys were better or worse back then, right? It's that fans were better back then, right? So we didn't have the internet to troll, like, criticize everything.
I don't think they were. We just didn't have a platform.
Yeah, it's what you said about the internet, for sure. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
we didn't know any better.
If you didn't like something, better, right? Like, nobody cared back then.
Yeah, exactly, right.
You got to tell 3 people that you knew in person, and then they were like, "Dude, go away." Here,
I mean, like,
right here, right?
Money,
YouTube or Facebook or whatever. You can just keep saying how much you dislike something indefinitely, because there's so many people out there, and that's the difference. And so I truly believe that there are not more people that dislike anything now. It's just their voice comes across louder. And I will say this too, because I am, like, always the optimist, and like always, I don't love everything that Super 7 does, but I love that Super 7's doing it, and that they love what they're doing, and that somebody loves what they're doing, because that's cool. It's cool that people are doing cool stuff. Full stop. Now, am I going to go on a rant and tell everybody that they have to love everything? No, that's just generally not what people do in a positive way. It seems to trend towards, like, the most vocal and vociferous fans are the negative ones. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what sort of compels them in that way. But I also don't hold it against them. I mean, say whatever you want. It doesn't really matter.
I can't stand
to
that.
me.
I can't,
like I don't.
yeah.
I'm not listening. I'm sort of like,
Yeah,
okay, I get
exactly,
it.
yeah.
Like,
Well, everyone bad, like any of the things that sell out instantly on Hasbro polls, I always laugh because like, oh, people hated that thing. Everyone hated that thing, sold out instantly. I'm like, yeah, I guess not everybody, huh? Just those 5 loud people who, you know what I mean? It's like, so
well, people, something sells out and they're like, oh, whatever companies like leaving money on the table. I guess they don't like their fans. It's like, that's not how it works. Like they forecast a certain amount and then, they sold through them. So maybe next time they'll make more. Like it doesn't, it's not, there's no perfect system. But
then the same fans will wait till everything goes on clearance, right? And then so they don't they're like, oh, well, I don't want to buy. I'll wait till it goes on clearance.
A lot of people
like,
playing clearance chicken these days.
They don't play the
and
next
then mad
wave,
when they can't get something at Ollie's. And I'm like, that's not supposed to ever be at Ollie's. Like no company designs a toy and goes, man, I hope these make it to Ollie's discount.
Here we go. I never bought anything from Super 7, but I want the new Conan comic because it's that comic style and it isn't Arnold. Oh man, my Conan is not Arnold. My Conan is the lithe Siberian thief barbarian that I have a whole wave of.
And I was gonna say, having a bunch of people when that one came out, weren't a bunch of people like, why are they doing another Conan? Why does it look like that?
Yeah,
it's like,
that's what he looks like. That's the this original IP. Yeah, so I like the void figure. Oh wait, who's this guy?
Hey, there, he made it. Yeah,
the weather finally let up.
Gotcha.
Here we go. Drives me crazy. This is Jason, everybody. He has something to do with AWOK. So let things change, let them evolve. Yep. There we go.
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like, and I think people get so hung up on like, and we do this too. Like I've done this. I've done this too. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll be the guy that says like, give everything a chance, and then I'll see something. I'll be like, that's stupid. But I mean, it's maybe tempered by the fact that like, I get why it exists, and I'll usually say like, I'm not gonna buy it because but I'm like, but if you like this,
somebody else is happy because of this. So
I love that. I love that there's lines that I look at and I scratch my head and I'm like, who's buying that? And in another another pocket of the world of the internet, somebody's like, this is the best thing that's ever been made in the history of things that have ever been made. That's awesome because that's the goal, right? Everybody's trying to make cool stuff. Nobody's trying to make dumb stuff that everyone's going to hate. That is not anybody's intention.
And if I could just add one thing to this conversation, that we are in a wild time for toy collecting and toy production. We're kind of like, like a little bit ago, people were amazed by how many TV shows are in production because of streaming. And it was just like, we're in the golden age of television. We're in a similar place at this moment with toys. Like at any given time, there's someone doing Kickstarter, there's new lines, there's also stuff on pre-order. Yeah. And then
there's people starting new companies to put
and then
more lines.
Right. And then the majors, the corporate, they're trying to go back and release some of their old stuff too, in a way that just didn't happen before. So it's like, look at SDCC. You're getting Sesame Street. You're getting 2000X Motu from Mondo. You're getting Real Ghostbusters. Like, so it actually makes even less sense to be that stick in the mud who's like, yeah, that sucks. I don't care. Don't make that. Like, if you're unhappy, just like wait 5 seconds. I guarantee you there's something cool that you're gonna like.
You can't buy everything, so you don't have to love everything.
Right.
Nope. I love seeing something come out and I go, I'm definitely not buying that. Thank goodness.
Right. Yeah, but you're glad because it's gonna make someone else happy. Like I think a lot of times, like part of the problem that like big tentpole like superheroes movies have is, they've got like a boardroom of people that are like trying to get a script catered to appeal to like every single type of viewer. And then it winds up making it so difficult to appeal to anyone. So, if there's a ton of variety and, just looking at like Silverhawks, where they did the Super 7 version, which was like super accurate to the cartoon. And then I think, was it was it Ramen that did another
Ramen,
version that was kind
yeah.
of like a little bit more of an updated version. That way everyone can have kind of like the best of both worlds. So if they're like really into nostalgia, or if they want something that's a little bit more of like an update, they can have that, you know? So I think it's really cool that people are kind of focusing in on to, you know, like almost like a niche where there's going to be like a certain group of people that are like really going to grab onto it and like, and take it, as opposed to like just trying to be like a little, like a huge brush stroke that's not necessarily going to make anyone happy.
Yeah.
Or there's
You
the
actually-
risk of it.
You actually have a question here. So, any chance of going back to 3.75 or the 4-inch scale?
I love that. I love that scale. And it seems like it kind of ebb and flows where, you know, people are into the 6-inch stuff right now. So ideally, you know, whenever the 3 3/4 inch stuff gets really popular again, we'll have, you know, all the sculpts that we basically just convert to that scale. And then we can start offering, you know, whenever we offer a new pale figure, we can offer them in both scales. And that way, both collectors are happy. And then it also allows us to easily offer vehicles, because that scale is really intended for that. I mean, whenever Star Wars came out, the original, you know, the figures were essentially a lost leader, and they actually made their money with the vehicles. And the same with G.I. Joe. So, you know, having that scale really lends itself to opening up, you know, vehicles and maybe bigger type, horse type characters and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, to be clear, I must interject and say there is no current plans to do that. But so don't.
Right.
Don't.
There's an
take that
AWOK Millennium
snippet.
Falcon. Nope, I
AWOK
heard AWOK
4-inch
Millennium
coming
Falcon.
next
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
Not happening. It just and there'll be Dollar General, direct to Dollar General.
No, Amazon exclusives, eBay exclusives.
I thought the elephant didn't get funded, but
So the
we're making
elephant
the
got
elephant.
funded on Backer Kit. So what we told everyone was, you know, we're going to take what we had gotten the goal and then just have that roll over into Backer Kit. Sorry, the cat's like really wanted to get attention.
no, that's good. It's entertaining. No,
So
everyone loves this.
we did fund it.
There we go.
We funded it in Backer Kit, so it is funded. We don't have it up for pre-order yet. It is being sculpted. So once we get a nice paint master photograph, then we'll offer it
Oh, that's
for
awesome.
pre-order. It probably won't be until like, you know, the birds are into production. So that way there's not like, you know, we don't want to have a case where there's a really long pre-production window or pre-order window for that figure.
Hold on. So I had, speaking of the last wave here, so we missed this Kickstarter. The boys and I did. Like I don't remember what happened. I think we were going to Italy or something. Where I was like, guys, I cannot spend money on toys right now. Like
Right.
but the chameleon. My son just got a bearded dragon, right? So when he
cool.
saw the chameleon, he was like, Dad, why didn't we? I was like, son, we didn't have a toy budget right then, right? So it just came out the wrong time for us. But like, as soon as these are going up in the shop, we're like scooping it up because he's a reptile nut. As much as Finn, my youngest son, is insane for cats, tease for reptiles. But like this guy, when you guys start dipping into these waters, it's like, oh man, it's more than just cats and monkeys. I like, look at this guy. Like, this is so cool.
That's
Just
going
breaking the
to
mold,
be
so
our
to
new
speak.
tag,
Yeah,
like our
we're
new
super
slogan, our new
excited.
tagline: more than cats and monkeys.
More than cats
Right.
and monkeys.
Yes.
All our promotional material, we'll just say more than cats and monkeys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, we are a small company, so we had to think really strategically. And the main character is an ape. So we were like, you know, we're doing a furry body buck or whatever. So we went ahead and did, you know, we went with the cats, the apes, the canines, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this Kickstarter really allowed us to really quadruple our parts catalog. So, you know, this is what you saw in the Kickstarter, but as we tool stuff, we're going to add, you know, little things here and there. So that way, whenever the idea is for, by the time the last Kickstarter wave comes out, we'll be able to start offering additional waves that have, you know, a unique body type in every single figure. and just kind of really
That's
get a lot of
awesome.
variety throughout each wave.
That's cool. Where's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
fox
let
and the
that be-
rabbit? Where's the fox and the rabbit?
So the fox and the
That's
rabbit
not-
aren't available for pre-order yet.
Ah,
That was
okay,
just
okay.
in the
All right, got it.
Kickstarter.
Right, and
Got
so
it.
in the
So what I was
Kickstarter, we were doing like, was it 4 waves or whatever? This is just the first
we
wave
did
that's
4
available.
waves
for-
in the Kickstarter. This pre-order model we did, on our website, we did just wave 1. If you absolutely can't wait for it to be on our website, you can pre-order that stuff on Big Bad Toy Store right now. You can also pre-order them through Diamond, like Diamond's online ordering process. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but if we want you to get your figure, so if you're worried about forgetting about it or just want to get it locked and loaded and not worry about forgetting about it, you can get it through BTS, or if you want to wait, they'll eventually be on the website as well.
Rango on roids.
Rango
That's
on
awesome.
roids is pretty funny.
Cats increase. So yeah, don't worry about the cat crossing in there. The algorithm sees that and just it launches with it. So don't worry. You're good.
I hope
Hey,
folks
I think like the
internalize-
second most Google thing is cats, so we're in
There you
good
go.
company.
Is
What's
it
the
first
first?
one? Boob?
No,
Boobs.
don't say the first.
Has to be boobs. It has to be.
You know what the first one is.
Yeah, universally.
You're close.
I was just gonna say, I hope folks internalize what Jason was explaining about, like, why it was cats and monkeys, and let that be a lesson. Like, if you are really into the concept and want to see more of it, you just kind of either wait or buy in, support it, and let it go. Because if you were there, like I was as a kid, for the original like release of A Real American Hero, like, and you were sitting around, it's like, man, why are they all green? Like,
Oh,
they
sure.
all other bodies
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Just wait, because it's going to get a lot more fun if this thing takes off. And that's exactly
Right.
that's
And
all
that's
we're
what's
doing. That's
cool.
all
I mean,
that's all Spero's doing.
We really tried to pack Easter eggs in each issue of the comic book. So people that have their figures, once they get the comic books and you're reading the story, you'll notice that there's figures that have been announced or shown off since those comics have been published. Issue 2 particularly has a bunch of Easter eggs in it. I think issue 3 has an Easter egg of Aachen as well as the mongrel, and those figures are like on their way to the States now. So, at the time it was just an Easter egg. So now they're produced and they're on their way to getting ready to be fulfilled. So
Yeah, these are the comics on here on the site here, by the way. For everyone. So
Shout out Utama.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I love the art, man.
yeah, really cool.
Utama's fantastic. So
It nails
right now,
the toy
those physical
aesthetic too,
copies-
right? Sorry, go ahead.
we wanted everything to be really toyetic, The idea is for there not to be much of a stretch of the imagination for these figures or characters in the comic to translate to the toys.
Oh, here.
And it's also essentially this is our I consider the first story arc season 1 of the cartoon. So we want eventually, the dream would be get a cartoon and then maybe Alkin's in there too. I forgot he was in there. He made 2.
That's
he had
awesome.
2 Easter eggs. We would love to do a cartoon. I would love to have some skins in Fortnite. I know we kind of think it's silly, but the idea is
that's
to get
awesome.
the younger generations into
Yeah, of course.
into the IP. The thing that's so great about Ninja Turtles is it's a multi-generational IP now.
Yeah.
Like we grew up with it, but now it's like 3 generations into it.
Yep.
And the same thing, obviously, with Star Wars and Masters, Thundercats, Transformers. All those are like legacy lines now. So
Yeah.
they aren't going anywhere. But we definitely feel like there's space for new IPs, and it's really important to kind of keep younger audiences interested in this type of stuff.
Well, that's why I had said earlier in the show is that we saw you at Joe Fest a bit there, and that was the second time buying AWOK figures at convention. And like my kids are now hooked. Like the 2 figures I brought, or they were there
that's
this
awesome.
time. You'll pick them out, and they're just like, "This is great." And then as soon as I showed them, I was like, "Well, yeah, but this is the Kickstarter." They're like, "Why didn't you get this, Dad?" I'm like, like I show them after the fact. They're like, I was like, I didn't show you because I knew you tried to strong arm me to buy it, and I have no willpower. So
Yeah, Dom, it
And
sounds like
that's-
your kids
that-
are
you know
like
what?
mine. They have no concept of money.
Yeah, but I cater immediately. 'Cause
Things
I'm like,
do
you're right.
cost money.
We've got to get those toys.
Right.
You're right. You know, like they're good arguers.
I was
So-
excited for Adam's kids because he essentially had to open up everything that he got at Joe Fest in order to pack it. And like, it felt like I was watching Christmas morning and I was like, man, they're going to love that. And he was like playing with stuff. And I was like, he got like a bunch of Masters of the Universe Origin stuff, which is really just fun. But he got what right now is my number one pick for the figure of the year. It's a dinosaur. I don't know what it's called, unfortunately. It was part of the Hammond collection. Do you remember what it's called, Adam?
The Giganotosaurus.
Oh,
It's this gorgeous figure.
It's
phenomenal. I ordered it. It's so good. And then
He
my number
ordered it
two right
while
now
I
is
was
the,
playing
the
with
4 horsepower
Yeah.
skeleton. I did. It was so good. Because when he said he got it on sale, and I was like, I need it. I gotta have it.
You got a question for Bob here. Will the first few issues be in a trade paperback form? That's a good question.
Yes.
Yes. So, so the trade paperback will go up for pre-order in October. So look for it in previews in October. Let's see. The last issue will be in store. Issue 5 will be in stores in October, and then you can get the whole trade in December. So pre-order in October. It will be available in December.
Can I tell my comic shop to get those sent to my comic shop? Really?
Yes,
Okay.
please ask
Actually,
them.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
I'm gonna
please
send
do
the
that.
cover look
Yeah.
like.
Because I
Let's see
buy
here.
every other week, right? I go to my comic shop, so that's too easy for me to be like, hey, look up this,
Oh, cool.
add that to my pull list. So yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
there.
the Southern California people, man, I was down visiting family. I went to 3 different shops. Not a single one of them had Animal Wares of the Kingdom.
It's a tough one because it is still, even though
Yeah.
it's through
Bummer.
Diamond, we're still putting it out independently. So
Hmm.
it'll
Right.
be in the previews magazine. Like if you've seen the previews
Mhm.
magazine, it's like a brick of a
yeah,
magazine.
yeah.
But for the
It's
toys,
it's
they've
essentially a
made
mini
the
phone
toy
book.
cover side. Like Diamond, not to toot our own horn, but Diamond kind of loves us.
They really do, and we love
And
them.
wanted the comic book to be distributed through them
Mhm.
after asking for the figures to be distributed through them.
Oh,
So it's kind of one of those things where we want it out there as much as Diamond does, but ultimately if stores don't have the demand for it, they might not even know that it exists. It might just sort of
Exactly.
I think
fall
that's a
into
lot of the
that.
problem is they don't know about it.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
so-
making that face just like a bummer, but the point is, like, if you are local and you want this, it's super helpful
Yeah.
to just give them a heads up because they may not have even noticed it, or realize that people might be into it. So they need to hear a customer go like, "Hey, yeah, I'm curious about this thing. I want this thing," and we'll go from there.
Oh, you got a question here. So, any chance of version 2's future? Onyx is my favorite. A little bit back.
Burger. Good to have you.
Did you see it? Did you see the? Oh, sorry, did I drop that too quick?
No, I know
Schmurger.
Okay, let's see. So it won't be a complete reissue. What I would like to do is reimagine the Ancients as something that's almost we kind of did them catering to customizers. This go around, I'd like to do something that's got dry brushing and several different heads and different hands. So that way you're kind of really getting your bang for your buck. So this is the first time we're premiering the cover of the trade paperback so that you can, if you want to show your comic shops, this will be available for pre-order in October.
Oh, awesome! That's great.
And if you've been lucky enough to have gotten all the floppies, issues 1 through 5, there will still be a little bit of additional content in this, probably not confirmed, so that it still be worth picking up.
That's awesome. No, that's cool. So I go there on this Saturday. So I'm like, hey, I got a copy of this. Can you print this on order? So that's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. Look at that cover art. It's cool. So yeah, so
Thank you.
thematically,
This is Otama. I did color it, but I mean, he's the one that really kind of brought it to life.
yeah.
I will say that the trade, like Adam mentioned, it's going to have, all the additional alternate cover pinups in it, and it'll have a couple of little extra goodies in there as well. So,
Oh, that's cool. Nah, that's cool, man.
Scott, are you getting this weather that I'm getting? We had like a crazy bad weather just now, like about I just let up about 30 minutes ago, I guess.
Listen, it's fine that you were late. It's okay. Don't blame it on God and nature. We all get it.
Fashionably late.
You're never late. We're just glad you're able to join. So I tell everyone who dropped in. So that's awesome. So comic books, action figures, Fortnite skins. What else you got in the works that's gonna tie this line together here? Pillowcases? I need some new pillowcases.
Live action movie universe. We're gonna do
uh,
13 movies, and then we're gonna start
Yes.
we're also gonna start a streaming service television network
Exclusive. Yes. Perfect.
where we'll have TV shows that sort of fill in all the gaps in between all those. There's no way any of it could go wrong. There's no way that anybody will have any criticisms of it.
Spared no expense. No, but Jason, what else you got? What's coming up?
Honestly, I think we've got enough on our plate with doing the figures, the comic books. The next thing I really want to do is be able to start pitching the comic book or the story as a cartoon. So it's just something that it's just totally out of my wheelhouse. I know we need some sort of like showrunner or producer to be interested. From what I understand, we can't directly appeal to, like an Amazon or Netflix or, whatever it is. So that's the goal. We do have a storyboard, but we're really not sure who to reach out to or who we would get excited about it.
He says that knowing that we have people that we started conversations.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to say that like publicly.
Like, whoa,
well.
If you need voice actors, I've been told that I'm spot on for a fox or a cat. Like I'm like
You do have a great voice.
Oh, I wasn't even asking for that plug. I was making a stupid joke that cats find relatable, but thank you.
I remember being mortified. The very first Kickstarter I did, it was for the comic book. And I didn't realize that I said dat instead of that. And I was just, oh no, I'm super Cajun. But here we are.
That's something that
Bushido.
I'm always impressed by is entrepreneur spirit, right? Like I always say, like, oh, I have such an entrepreneur spirit, but I work for the man. Like I'm the very opposite of an entrepreneur, right? Like I'm in the bureaucratic system. So I think it's
full on.
Yeah. There is I'm the very opposite of that spectrum, right? So but I'm like a rat in a cage though. But yeah, I love the fact, and I want to peel that.
I was just gonna
anxiety
say that,
from-
Adam.
What's that? What'd you say?
Sorry, he said, despite all your rage.
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
believe me, I was singing it in my head.
Yes, good, yeah, because we're
Hey,
all
they got a new
old.
album that's coming out.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we're all old. No, I want to peel that onion about the anxiety piece of doing Kickstarters and launching your own toy line and being like, here it goes. I'm sending this out in the public. I want to hear a little bit more about that because that's great.
So, they're all slightly nerve-wracking in their own way. I will say that they got a lot less nerve-wracking. I can remember my first one, waking up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom and then being in the bathroom, checking to see if anyone had backed or anything. And I was like, okay, you got to stop doing this. So not the last one we did, but the one before it, the first 6-inch one, I essentially turned off all notifications just so that I could kind of concentrate and do the work.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because there was a lot of work to get done as far as keeping up with, unlocks and updates and stuff. I did that with this one as well. I did feel like we had a lot of pressure on this go around because, we had a really great Kickstarter last time and we were essentially doing 4 times or presenting 4 times as much parts, same amount of figures, but a lot more parts. And, it was just kind of, it felt like it was a kind of venturing out into the unknown. I felt like I had a very distinct vision for the first 6-inch Kickstarter where it wasn't so wide in scope. But at the end of the day, it was very exciting and a pleasure to do it. I think doing my corrective eye surgery in the middle of the campaign wasn't ideal. But it had to be done. It's one of those things where I had scheduled it 6 months in advance and I needed to get my vision corrected, but it all worked out.
Oh, that's good. We talked to Fox Forge Toys. They did a Kickstarter a little while ago too.
Right.
And
We love those guys.
Yeah, they're great, right?
They're
I
like
think
two
really
tables
are.
from us at Legion's Con.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
yes, yeah. That's where I ran into them. I saw his booth. I was like, "Hey, I want you to come back and talk to me about these figures." But it was funny because it was while the Kickstarter was going on. He's like, "Oh yeah, checking the phone every 5 seconds, like refresh, you know?" Because it was like it was
It's
towards
so
the back end
tempting
of
to
it.
do that. It's so tempting to do that, but it's just there's nothing good that can come from it. You
That's
know,
what
it's like
yeah,
it goes
yeah.
up or it goes down. And I remember like I would take it personally, and I was like, it's just not. That doesn't make sense. Like I know I was fussing to Adam. I was like, oh, why? And it's like, just calm down. It's fine. You know.
Meanwhile,
Yeah, but,
I still have a regular 9 to 5 Monday to Friday job, so I'm getting messages in the middle of my workday. They're
Right.
like, we need to do this right now, and I'm like, can it
Right.
wait 3 hours till I get home because I can't do anything about it right now.
Right.
It's probably gonna be fine. Just go for a walk and just take a breath. And
I mean, I will say I have like just general anxiety for like everything can be
Yeah,
great, and I'm
yeah,
just
there
like
you go.
anxious for no reason. So I also try to keep that in mind whenever I'm like panicking.
I would just drink and just be drunk the whole time. Have no clue. How's it going? I was like, I have no idea. I'm good though.
It's
I'm
going
good.
so good.
It
Get another
failed
one of
3
these.
Yeah, it failed.
me
3
turns
days
out
ago.
that's
Yeah,
not
but I'm
as
good.
effective as it seems, though. But it's yeah.
Total, yeah. Well, I don't know because I'm a real lightweight. So like total sidebar, like I was alone for a year in Korea, you know, without my family. So every Saturday I would just wake up, do whatever I had to do, and then I would listen to stoner rock and drink until I was like, and I'm ready for my nap, and I'd crash and fall asleep for 2 hours. So I've got a system. If ever I launch a Kickstarter, I know exactly what I'm doing. I mean, find the stoner rock and just keep drinking until I fall asleep. And it wasn't like pass out drunk. I would just get like nice and be like, nappy time, you know. So yeah, no.
I
There
did
we go.
start
Or this,
taking.
yeah.
I started taking gummies, and that really helped a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was trying several different strains, and I don't remember which one it is, but there's one that whenever it kicks in, if there's music on, I cannot avoid dancing. So I took a shower, and I had a Spotify. I have like my own Spotify list that I enjoy, but I just played the Spiro booth. We have like music that plays, and one of them was the dance scene from Blade. And it's like a 10-minute long song. And I was just like standing in front of the mirror, like dancing. And I was like, you got to stop. You have to stop. This is like a 10-minute long song.
All of a sudden, the shower, you just imagine the blood from the movie. You're like,
Blood,
no.
right? Yeah. I was like,
What's
wow,
happening?
This is way too immersive.
That's fantastic. Oh, man. Yeah. No,
so
I
all
can't-
of this
Go ahead.
to
Yeah.
say he's best at the creative stuff, and I'm better suited to the sort of
You need that balance.
logistical day-to-day stuff.
It's so interesting how our minds work in that regard. You know, it's like you said, I'm very creative, and it's funny because a lot of times, like if like Adam or Derek or Brick, or if you're explaining something to me, I'll start getting distracted because I will like build like a photorealistic video of what you're describing in my head. And I can't tell, like a lot of times I'll just be like, I was like, man, those last like three minutes, I didn't get any of that.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
still focusing on the first thing you said. I haven't digested
Right.
the next 5. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this
so
video looks rad. In my
yeah. But
awesome.
I've got this perfect, right?
So I take notes and then remind him later.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's awesome.
I always, one of my buddies, my best friend, like we're pen pals. We live in town, but like we talk all the time, you know, on Telegram. And I'll tell him what my dreams are, and he was like, "You make my dreams sound so boring." They're almost like action comedies. They tend to be an action comedy, so I should write them down.
Mine are all about work right now, so I envy you.
That's like burnout. That's burnout dreams.
It is. I wake up going like, did I send that email? Like I have the dream that my boss will be like, you never sent that thing I asked you. I'm like, no. I wake up, you know. So, well, I had a thing before I got to Jason. You're doing the Lord's work here. Yeah. Oh man, I was going to ask you something that I before we got sidetracked on gummies and so my wife is has ADHD, like not too strong, like strong, a little low in the spectrum there, but we think my youngest son has it. But we saw this interesting article that was talking about, hey, like ADHD creative types, they're in the same spectrum, actually thrive in certain environments. They don't thrive in an environment where it's like sit still for 5 hours, don't talk, don't engage.
Our minds aren't designed to do that.
Yeah, so it's like you're more designed to be the one who's like, hey, I need to get up and we're gonna go do this thing, and I have confidence and I have thoughts and I want to be creative and I'm focused on this thing now. And then okay, that's good. I'm gonna jump over here, and it's like that's the environment. I was like, man, that's right. And I was thinking about my youngest son, and we don't think he has it, but like there's certain characteristics where he's just like, Dad, I'm gonna do this thing, and I got it's like, man, that he needs to be in that environment to be able to like move.
It's really good for like entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
they start listing some of the business going and stuff. And I told Adam, I was like, I think it was this week. I was feeling guilty over the weekend because there was like something that I was forgetting, and I just wasn't like very busy for like 2 days. And then we talked, and I remembered what I was not doing.
A Kickstarter.
I was like, oh my god,
supposed to launch.
And then like I got like a ton of stuff. Like that day, I colored the trade that we showed you earlier, and then I also painted the Merrill. So like I went like from Cardinal. 2 days of like not doing anything and just feeling guilty about it, and then like just did like a ton of work. I think I worked like 14 hours that day. I was just like
he took one of those gummies. He had to.
I did not. I took a sip. I had coffee right here, and I took a sip of it just like out of habit. So I'm also excited about ZoloCon tomorrow.
Oh, nice. How's that going?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's our second time doing it. It's a great show. It's the only show that we've done that almost feels like a club experience because there's no like overhead natural like white light. It's like blues and greens and yellows. So we did bring our own light to kind of show the products in their actual to where you can actually see what the product looks like. But it's a fun show. It's in an old decommissioned centrifuge. So it's a round structure. It's really cool.
Yeah, interesting. Huh. And you got a question here.
Let's see here. Awesome work.
Comics Legend, did you email us? Because a couple people have emailed with this question.
Let's see. So your toy line. So what I would recommend is, everything in baby steps. So the toy line that venture is very expensive, but what you could do is like a proof of concept where you do a comic book and you don't necessarily have to do like a full story arc like what we did. You could do a one shot, which is essentially like a 40-page pilot to kind of give people the idea. And paper is way less expensive than action figure production. So what I would recommend is maybe kind of get together with an artist or writer if you're going to be writing it. Try the comic book out, see what kind of reception there is to it. And the characters should essentially be what you're anticipating making the toy of. So make sure that it's like a toyetic type of character and would lend itself to articulation and stuff like that.
That is a really good question and a really interesting answer to go for comic first and then have the form follow afterwards. And I think that lends to the comic book you just showed here too. You can see the toys quickly because there's a lot of times you'll see an art form and then you'll get it in physical form. Be like, what were you basing this off of? Right? You know what I mean? It's like very, very similar. So
yeah, awesome. It's interesting because so like Arlen and Dan, who are our main sculptors, they've just done a ton of work for Hasbro, and we kind of tease Arlen because he did that full bath of like the Hulk version guy of Thanos's team. I don't know what his name is.
Yeah.
So he did that figure. He did the whole figure, and then they like totally changed his outfit on screen, and so he was like, I don't have an accurate version of the toy I made, and they wound up redoing it later on, but. That type of stuff, like they do the work and it goes into production for 18 months or whatever. And then the production, changes their mind. I think something similar, this is speculation, I think something similar happened with the 2012 Ninja Turtles. If you look at Wave 1, they looked like, you know, stylized obviously, but they did not look like what the cartoon looked like.
Yes.
So, which I was actually glad. I actually love those versions, not necessarily the cartoon accurate versions, but that's just another example of it.
And then they later came back with cartoon accurate ones to try and
Right, they did, yeah. So,
actually have
so it
those
was the
first
best.
four.
Everyone
They're
got
right
what they
here.
wanted.
Yeah, I moved the shelf there. I was like, oh, they're right here, but the shelf is now over on that side of the room. So, but yeah, I love the 2012 Turtles. They're one of my favorites.
It was so good.
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny. I was pointing out, you know, earlier that like Jason's approach to, you know, starting with the monkeys and the cats and then building towards all the other ones was very similar to what happened with G.I. Joe back in the day. Everything he just said about like, hey, you should like, you know, proof of concept. It's the same thing with like Motu selling people with, you know, eventually having to go to like toy retailers and say, no, you don't understand. Check out, we have a mini comic or here's this first animatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's what people do all the time. It used to do all the time. So it's kind of like, it's smart to go back to that old playbook and you know, if you got an idea, you also got, that gives you the time to strengthen that idea a little bit
Right.
more. And you mentioned Dan and Arlen, these other folks that you're like eventually going to go to sculpt and interpret your designs. Well, it makes it easier to communicate quickly what a thing is supposed to be when they can read an entire story and go like, oh, okay, no, I get it. And, you know, their interpretations might bleed more towards with what you were going for, rather than I can imagine Jason going, no, it's a cat. But he's got this armored brown thing here. And no, you have to understand he fights and stuff. It's like, no, here, check this out. Oh,
Yeah.
I get the vibe.
Here's the
right?
actual character in motion in life. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I can capture the essence of who that is,
Yeah.
right? Because those are the most
Right.
appealing figures to me. Is when I'm like, I know this character from his face and his tattoos.
Right.
Like, I get who this dude is, right? And that's
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
a lot of times like they've got that so in writing, right? So it's the inferred backstory. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
you have to tell me the backstory. I can infer just from what you're presenting here on screen.
Right.
That's
It
the
has to
toys
tell a
jump out.
story.
Yeah, without
I think-
actually exposition dubbing at you. Yeah.
If
I
I,
think
can
that's
add
why
a,
people were so drawn to Boba Fett, you know?
if I can
Boo.
add a couple things to that
Mhm.
sort of equation for comics legend. One thing that I've heard from a couple people recently, and I'm paraphrasing because I didn't hear this word for word from a couple people, but like, from the customer's perspective, right? If you're offering something new, they're gonna ask, why should I buy this?
Mhm.
So it's all well and good if you have an idea in your head of something that you really want to do because you really want it, but you're not making one. You're gonna have to make, you know, minimum like 500 units, probably
Right.
more than that.
Yeah.
So to that point too, keep in mind you're making 500 or more units.
Right.
You're gonna need a factory. A lot of the hard work that people kind of don't realize is like more important than your great idea is having a really good team of people. If you are not an artist and a sculptor and you don't work in a factory in China and you don't know how to get a shipping container filled and how to get a good rate on a shipping container and how to sell all those 500 units, all of that stuff is hard.
It's the project manager aspect of the actual.
It really
toy.
is.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just project manager. I
Yeah.
mean, project manager is the guy that gets your toys made, but there's also a lot of other people that are involved, and you have to be
What's up, George?
aware that a
What's
lot
up,
of
Brian?
people are going to have input, and they're not going to want to work with somebody who's very single-minded. And I will
Right.
say this about Jason: he is an amazing creative person, but he is so super open to the ideas of people that are like, hey, what about this? What about this? Like, it's never like, no, here's my vision and this is all we're going to do. And this is like, if we don't make this, we're not making it. It's like, you can't get in that mindset of like, nope, I know exactly what I want to do. You have to understand that that's not how it works.
It's highly collaborative.
You have to play ball. It's
necessity.
very
Yeah,
collaborative.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
and-
Savage Cruise. Oh, go ahead, Jason. I want to hear from you. Never mind.
You know, and just kind of building on that is, to me, one of the most important parts of the creative process is just kind of checking your ego. Like I sent you Arlen and Dan quite a lot, and they are obviously sending me whips, and
Work in progress.
I'm so bad at like I'll
Thanks,
you know, whenever you do a 3D print, there is supports, and I'm so bad at like you know, whenever you look at like a beautiful sunset on the road and you don't notice all the telephone poles, but when you take the picture, then you notice the telephone poles. Well, Dan and I we'll kind of edit it out, and then I'll show the picture, and Arlen's like, man, you missed all these like all these supports, and I'm like, oh God. And it's very easy to take off, but it's like you don't send that to the photographer, you know. So
Right.
we all kind of trust each other, and we trust each other to like let each other know, like, oh hey, like this is missing, or that looks a little off, or maybe try this.
Candid feedback.
And I find it very helpful, and we're just trying to make the best product possible. So I encourage all of that.
Candid feedback, but candid feedback that comes from a place of like mutual respect and support.
Exactly.
And like, no, that's the other thing. Make sure you don't end up with you know, people that you don't work well with.
Right.
I think that could go sideways real quick. We haven't experienced that, so that's not a speaking from experience. Hopefully that's never something that I have to speak from.
We've talked to several, because the Savage Crucible team is very broad. Like there's so many people involved in that project, and everyone has
like nine creators, maybe.
Yeah, sculptors, painters. It's all over the right. So, but every one of them we've talked to has had nothing but positive things to say. They collab really well, and it's the same kind of thing too. It's like, no, we're allowed to pitch ideas in. And you know, as long as it's here's the realm of feasible, and then anything inside that realm, you know, you can make it. I was like, man, that's such an awesome. I'm always fascinated about hearing about that process and the iterate, because it's not just one person being like, I made this entire toy myself. It's like, well, you know, so
no way.
Yeah, exactly. So, who takes the product shots?
So we have two different photographers. Danny in town takes the product shots, and then Trevor from 1/6 Shooter takes the glamour shots. So whenever you look on the website, if you see stuff that's like in, you know, just basically on a black background, on our site they're just a black background, but we have PNG so that, you know, I think Amazon requires a white background. So on our website, anything that's like on a black background that shows the figure and like the accessories, that's Danny. And then Trevor does all the like really exciting like pose stuff with like diodes and stuff like that.
Trevor 1/6 Shooter. Yeah, you can kind of tell his work. His work kind of stands out. You know what I mean? He does.
It really does. It's very vibrant. Let's see, what's this saying?
Oh, interesting.
You know what's funny? If we ever did that, this is funny. Like whenever Derek first started working for us, he said, man, why are you wearing the same shirt for like a week? And I was like, it's not the same shirt. I bought like 12 of the same shirt. So it's a new shirt. But like if we did a documentary, it would just look like I wore the same for
one day.
We did it all in a week.
Yeah, I was like,
one take.
I bought like 12 shirt, this color shirt.
Dude, Joe does the same thing. He wears like a Toy Dom or somebody else's channel shirt, but other than that, he only has black t-shirts. He's like a cartoon character.
Well,
it's the dark jeans, black t-shirts. I'm
smart
like,
though. You never have to think about it. It's the Steve Jobs thing.
It's a decision fatigue is a real thing. Like, so like by the end of the day, like if someone asks me like just like a meaning, like they're like, hey, do we need white or black trash bags? And I'm like, don't ask me that. We need trash bags. I don't care if it's Portruce. I don't care if it's plaid. Just get the trash bag. I don't care. It's true. Like I can't make by like 4:30. I'm essentially done.
So the same. Unfortunately,
that's it.
I don't get to do anything that's enjoyable to make decisions, but that's the same thing. I'm in all day long, and then I get home. It's like, what do you want for us? Like anything, just whatever.
Right.
I don't want to I just want to like do nothing. So
I mean, I do the same thing with meals. I'll eat the same thing all the time. I'm like, I know it won't upset my stomach, and it's good, and it fills me up. But it really comes in handy, especially whenever I'm like mulling over something. I've said it on several shows, but you know, I think about like paint theory for like several days before I ever paint something. So like a lot of times it'll carry over like where I'm getting I'm getting like mentally fatigued because I've been thinking about something for several days before actually painting it, and so it really comes in handy with stuff like that. The cat really needs attention. What is
No, it's
going
I was
on?
gonna say,
There
I
you go.
swear it's getting bigger every time too.
Come on, sweet baby. Oh, it's a good baby. What's the matter? You jealous?
Some Peter
Well,
Jackson.
Guys, we're at an hour 40 here. I think we're gonna start wrapping up. We're gonna do some news, but you know what? Go check out the Cosmic Legions lines and see if you're gonna buy. We're all in. We're all
No, we
in.
can do it. I know that both of these
Okay.
guys.
All right. You sure?
Enjoy
Okay.
it.
All right. We'll do it here. Let me
I don't
see
know
if
which.
let me see if my thing actually works though.
Man, they've got some great like soft goods, like
There we
that
go.
bottom left. Oh my god! And then the top
No,
second row on the right. Wait, how
No,
did?
no,
Whoa!
No
How'd you
news
do
hats? What gives?
no. Hold on. Yeah, hold on.
that? Did
Hold on. We're
that
gonna
hat?
do this right.
Did the hat change
I had
color,
to see if it would. We're doing the news.
Put my hat on before.
There you go, yeah. I had to see if the pictures would work because it didn't work in the first part of the show, but after the internet gave out, there you go. Yeah, you're the second guest to wear a cat as a hat. We're gonna play. Are you getting it? Yes or no here. Okay, so this is gonna. Here we go. Let's see if I. Here we go. We're gonna go to. Okay, so we got the first figure up here. How are we
Oh,
feeling? We're
man.
getting this. Yes or no? Yeah,
I'm definitely getting those. Is that the same figure? It is, right?
it is.
Yeah,
I know.
Yes,
alternate
it
head.
is.
I need two of them.
Yep. Adam Brick.
Yes, and pretty much I'll just tell you, I'm all in. So it's gonna be a lot of
Yeah.
yeses.
Okay. All right. So now we're gonna play the game of how many are we getting? Because
Got it.
I'm getting two of that guy.
Two. Yep. same.
I'm all out. I'm not
Oh my
doing
goodness.
but only
He's
because I'm
not
not doing Cosmic
going to
Legions
Cosmic,
because
yeah.
I can't do everything.
Yes,
I
yeah.
actually collect Cosmic Legions more than Mythic Legions. That being said,
think-
that skeleton's like amazing.
Oh, let's do this. Here we go. There we go. We'll do the animated one.
Ow.
Yeah.
I
So
will just say I'm an all in, and I am in that point where so I did that order separately and early because I'm experimenting to see if somehow getting it in early makes it come faster. But well, just get earlier in the queue. I don't know how they sort
Yeah.
of handle that, but then
they do the
I,
all. I
have-
like how they do the all-ins first. I think that's a
They do.
great fan
Yes.
service method. Yeah, I like
I've
that.
just
I wish
had
other
this
companies
theory.
did
It's
it.
like, well, if you're going to do all the all-ins first, are you going to do them by order received? So
I don't
that's what
know.
I did with this one.
All right,
Did my
we'll see.
all-in early, and then now I am wondering what extras, if any, because honestly, it's been an expensive summer. So I may or may not get extras, but I want an extra of this one. I love that one and her.
I really have to fight against the urge here because the Cosmic Legion stuff, I have so much Mythic Legion stuff and I still have so much on pre-order and there's so much more coming. But the Cosmic stuff looks great, but where would I put it? And I know that I would do what I
In
have done with
space.
Mythic Legions and Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, where like you guys are saying, like with this guy, I would want a couple. With Jabbar, I would want a
yeah.
couple. Like
Yep.
they lend themselves because there's that pop and swap aspect to the Four Horsemen stuff.
Mhm.
One's never enough because you know that you can just pop and swap
Yes.
everything
Yeah,
and come
yeah.
up with your own versions of everything.
Mhm.
So even within Mythic Legions, there's certain like races or like certain things that I just don't buy. Like the Fury Clan stuff, which is like the red version
Oh yeah,
of things.
yeah. Because
I just don't buy them.
Yeah,
The Shadow
exactly.
Elves,
Yeah,
I just don't buy.
Yeah.
Like I in my head canon, I have to just imagine that they don't exist because if you get two of everything, you've already got like
Yeah.
Enough stuff if you're
Yeah.
only limiting it to like certain and I get tons of like basically if it's in Xylona's flock, I'm gonna buy like 3 of each. And then like goblins and orcs I love, so I'm buying a bunch of those. So it's like, yeah, there's just too much stuff.
The golden
just say
age is
real
also
quick-
the worst age. But go ahead,
It
Brick.
is.
What do you?
Yes.
I was just gonna say about this one, getting the female 2.0 fabric thighs and
Mhm.
arms
Yeah.
are awesome. And again, so like I hear what Adam's saying, and he's 100% right. So even if you say I'm not gonna get this one, the nice thing is these are now in the legions, whether
They're
it's cosmic
in the
mythics,
toolbox.
parts library. So you will see those arms and those legs with that fabric eventually in Legion, which is great.
Cool.
Now we've actually seen those arms and those legs before.
Oh, who had those?
We saw those in the House of the Noble Bear Wave.
I was gonna say, but it
okay.
wasn't
On a male
woman,
figure.
was it? It was a guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Jason, how many of these are you getting?
I'm not gonna get her. I'm gonna pass on her.
It's because he hates women, just for the record.
Wow,
It's
okay.
true.
Yeah, only dudes for Jason.
He only do.
I gotta have only guys.
I'm just kidding.
All right, let's rush. All right, so we got this.
This guy's my favorite of the line, so I'm definitely getting.
Surprised.
I'll
Yeah.
probably only get one of him, but
those
he is my
colors.
current favorite.
Those colors.
I
are
might
so
buy him.
Good. They're so good.
He's so
yes.
freaking
Yeah.
good.
I love
That's
all
what
love
of
him.
makes me want to squeeze this cat.
and like whereas Mythic Legions, there's no IP behind it but there is orcs and elves. For this, there's nothing. There's just like whatever, slap all sorts of stuff together, and I absolutely love it.
I do too, and I love the goggles. The solution for the goggles, popping it up almost like a faceplate. Great stuff.
I know, it's so good. All right, then we got old Boney McBone here. Let's see, two.
I'll
Enemy
probably
mine.
get two of this guy.
Yeah.
You said it earlier, Jason. Like that's the thing about this line, and as they move forward, the soft goods and the experimentation.
so
with soft
good.
goods. So shout out to CJ because it's like, it's like here's a cape. It's like no. This is a tailored with this cool looking collar, but then it's
Pass.
got this weather. It's fantastic. I dig it.
So cool looking.
I think this
All
figure
the
looks really,
costumes
really
good.
good, but I think it's underwhelming within this wave.
Oh
I
yeah,
think-
no,
I
think if
yes.
this
It's kind of like a
was-
bland army builder, but that's kind of what is
I
attracting
think the
me to it.
browns
Yeah.
are just like when you put it next to the last one.
Yeah.
You
No,
look at
that's
this
true.
and you
I'm
go,
okay with that though. Like I want,
But
I
that's
don't
the
need this
thing.
one. I'll get two of that guy. Like,
Totally get it, and
Gotta
that's the way. But story wise, again, these are like these sort of space techie, like
You
minor
need this
dudes or
one.
whatever, crash landing on the planet, and these are the sort of like folks
Yeah,
who are
the
there on the
locals.
planet, the
Yeah,
indigenous
exactly.
folks. So
Gotta make room
I
for
dig it.
AWOK. Oh, that's a good call. Good call. Getting 10 of these lizards. The tusk armor is, you're right, but at the same time, they keep spicing it up. And I think maybe the earth tones might be bland in comparison, but it's also good juxtaposition. And you're right, that's good to have that stand up. But you're right.
it is
For me, that was kind
contrast.
of our, yeah, exactly.
But I'm with you on the Tusk stuff. I paused on Tusks a while back, and then they gave us that, what's his name, the Fisher Price guy, and then I was like, okay,
Yeah,
one more Tusk.
I know. This is a cool mount.
Love it. Space
Yeah.
creatures,
Yeah.
completely new, sort of biology shape, the longer
Yep.
legs in the back, everything about this super cool. Even though
Yep.
we've already had escape
functional
back, this
sleeping
one's,
bag.
yes,
Yeah.
even though we've had escape back, this is a whole other sort of like type of escape back, and
Yep, we lost
it's
Jason.
great.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
dancing to Blade.
yeah.
Came on
Yeah,
in
these
the
are cool.
background.
I
He had to
think-
go.
I think we're only gonna get one of the mounts because they are a little pricier, and I'm like,
Yeah.
but then T sitting there, Tristan sitting there, bending my arm, like, Dad, you need two mounts, like ride side by side. I'm like, stop, son, you're the worst.
Does T know about the original skate pack, the purple and the
What the
first one, the
oh,
first
yeah, yeah,
version?
yeah.
Yeah.
We walked
Okay,
through this
good.
line together. Yeah, we walked
Okay,
through
cool.
it. So now, so what's not shown with this dude here. So yes, that cloth good on the left is removable, but it's also a sleeping bag. Like they went back and showed on IG. He's all
no.
nestled and pulled inside it.
No,
Yeah,
the one
no,
on
so-
the
so-
skate back is a.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
it's
if you
on
go
the- it's on the
back,
mount. Oh,
part
of
it's
the
on
tag.
mount.
yes, and so
Oh, I
this
see.
is
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
his
yeah.
mount. This is actually
and
that guy's mount.
That rear
and
pack.
that thing,
Okay.
yes.
Oh wow, that's cool. I thought his kit folds out to be a sleeping bag from the bottom too. Oh, that's interesting. That's awesome. Yeah,
And
this
it's,
guy's
again,
adorable.
I love it. I love the silhouette. Again, it's very Star Wars to me, especially like sort of sequel Star Wars, with a tech and the weird head, odd
Yeah,
head. I love it.
love
And
it.
what I really love about this is the length, because it's got that long neck, the length of the torso and the length of the legs. The
Yeah.
contrast is great.
I do too. Yeah,
I
do.
love the paint on this one.
Yes, it's like
Mhm.
there's so much appeal to this figure. It's just
Yeah.
nailing it all. I agree with all the comment. Like, yes, like And then the last one, last figure here, not Buzz Off.
Not Buzz Off.
That alternate head, like the
Yes.
Spexian head, but painted like it's a helmet. Like it looks like it's a helmet. It looks so good.
It's so good.
And shout out to David Williams, who basically did this figure and posted in the Cabal and was like, here's my Buzz Off. And the Four Horsemen were like, we're making that.
There's our Buzz Off. Yeah.
Right. And they did the custom head, or the alt head, which I think is beautiful, especially if you're really familiar with Buzz Off and the choices, the options you have.
This is so good. And then I've never been big on the gear packs. I'm like, okay, but I
love the gear pack.
Yeah, the yellow opening crate's really cool.
I bought the gear pack from the last wave too, the last Ox Crew wave, and this is like, to me, this is kind of a no-brainer because these are. Go ahead. Go whatever you want.
Joe's not here, man. I'm all by myself. I gotta find it. Hold on, there it is. Sorry.
But it's not just a 3D printed cube or whatever, right? Like this is an opening crate that you can put stuff in, which is so much harder to find. And at the price that they're offering this stuff, you know, if you're building worlds, if you're building dios, even on your shelf, this just makes your shelf look cool.
Yeah. No,
and I gotta say, like, shout out to the Four Horsemen who don't really sort of like rest on their laurels, right? They ended up doing this whole other line, and they could just sort of like use the template from Legions or Mythic, but this whole idea of like experimenting with things like this, the accessory packs that aren't like, you know, weapons, but like world building things. And I actually think it's smart because for so many of us, like, we have a sense of what elves and wizards do. Like that's been done.
Yep.
The cosmic thing in their particular brand of sort of sci-fi, they need to communicate a little bit more and help us as audience members like understand it a little bit more. So
I think it's great. Yeah, so we're all in on this one. It's a matter of not buying shelves and anything else so we can actually get this wave, because the boys are so excited about this. And I don't blame them. Like what we just described, like there's so many uniqueness to this, and I love that there's nothing attached. Like I get to open that figure and be like, okay, what's this guy going to be? And I love that feeling of just like, I get to impose whatever I want to come up with this dude based on how I look and feel. Like, yeah, it's cool. So awesome.
And if you don't like something, pop, I don't like the head.
Yeah.
Easy enough to find
Lots of
options.
That's my problem too, is I'm looking at this cosmic stuff and I'm like, okay, what parts would I want for mythic stuff?
Yeah.
You know, the soft goods and like some of the heads and like different paint apps and stuff like that. It's just like
it's the
that's
Lego
a slippery
thing,
slope,
right?
though. That's a slippery
It's totally
slope.
Lego, where you look at a set and you're like, I'm not really into that set, but I could do that, or I could change that. I guess I need to buy the set, you know.
And I remind myself how much Lego I have that I never use, because I have so much of it that I can possibly ever use all of it.
Yeah.
That has been the news, guys. So it's funny, Adam. One of the times, it wasn't the first time you were on. It was one of the later times you were on. It was just you and me and maybe somebody else, and Joe wasn't there. And so I didn't do the news segment and the hat. And you're like, I brought my hat. I thought it was just me. And so Joe like shamed me afterwards. Like, you always got to do the news. See, people come expecting us, man. So now we always have it queued up in case you're like, just in case we have enough time for it. So as soon as you're like, I brought a hat, I was like, well, then we're doing the news, man. So. But yeah, that's been the show. Jason disappeared behind the news piece somewhere in here.
His internet crapped out again. He messaged me.
Okay.
It's the weather.
Too many gummies. Too many gummies.
The gummies kicked in.
This is the sleeping gummies. Are gonna need that sleeping bag. Yeah, it'd be awesome if they just started selling more and more accessory packs. Like Mythic Legions, they did the magic pack, and I was like, oh man, I got too much magic. I have too many magic everywhere, because I thought it would be less, and then I got them. I'm like, dude, we have lightning bolts everywhere. So it's like Doctor Strange's closet exploded into my living room. So, but yeah,
they're great though, because you start like, so I was using Marvel Legends sort of magic stuff for Mythic Legions, and now I'm using like Mythic Legions
the other way
stuff
because
for
they have
Marvel Legends.
That's all Marvel
and
Legends.
Now it all just mixes, and it's on AWOK figures like Vero Atlas. uses the like purple lightning.
We
and
did the
stuff.
same thing. Yes. Yeah. That's it. Yep. All right, guys. This has been a great show. Really, I love having you guys on. It's always great. Last minute, like plugs, Brick. What you got? What do you want to shout out there? What do you want to drive people towards?
So this Sunday, every Sunday, 3:45 after Adam's show, actually, there's kind of got a nice little segue. I do the news, and it's not truly news. It's the Needless Ephemera we saw. It's just me and a co-host just talking about whatever we want to talk about that we think is fun and interesting. A lot of customs, a lot of new indie toy lines, some art sometimes. And then the other thing that's coming, because I just got to finish editing, I'm doing a collaboration with Cobweb, and I love Masterverse. It's one of those things that is people see all the indie stuff that I choose, but no, I love Mattel stuff, and I'm super into Motu, but this particular brand, this particular line I'm into. So we're literally going to go release by release. We do a little bit about the history or whatever, and we're just going to talk about each figure. Is going to be a different episode. So
That's
into
awesome.
the Masterverse.
That's awesome. Adam?
What's the question?
Good night, everybody.
Plug. What's coming up? Adam's gonna do videos.
I don't
of him
know
wearing
what's
different
going
hats.
up, man. I've been so busy. I am.
that's where I'm at,
As Brick mentioned, I do a show on Sundays, 2:05 Pacific Standard Time, 5:05 for you unfortunate people on the East Coast. And then if you're in another time zone,
Do the math. Do the math. Yeah.
I don't know. And then some Wednesday nights I do a thing called Open Late. It's often older stuff, and it's late because I'm on the West Coast. And then beyond that, I'm answering emails, help@sperotoys.com, and just hanging out, watching other people's shows, and popping up in chats, and just doing all that stuff, and raising 3 kids to be the next generation of toy collectors. And is that enough? I don't know.
That's more than enough. I was wondering if you were going to keep
Adam.
going. Like, I've got a garden to get after. I've got this grocery here.
I'm also Arlen, who Jason mentioned. I'm sort of working with Arlen. We're in sort of the early stages of starting our own toy company.
You buried the lead. That's
Well,
at the beginning of the show.
me,
It's an hour and 56 minutes in. What are we talking about?
To me, it's a whole lot of nothing until we actually, put something out there. So that's why it's sort of, we're quietly sort of working towards that. But like I said, I say this all the time. There's so much boring stuff that has to happen before toys get, anywhere. And we're in that phase of like, what's the company?
Except, hold on.
There's news, yeah, because Adam is starting a toy.
Hold
What are
on.
you talking about?
He's like,
right now?
it's nothing to me until we actually
It's
sort of have
whatever.
something.
I guess
Let's
that's
be
maybe the
clear.
Canadian in us too, is that we're not.
And
Yeah,
and
we're
I
not.
understand that. I understand that. So allow me. You've probably already seen this. I know Dom has somewhere. Like these things have come up. So Arlen has been putting out figures that he's been working on, and actually,
Arlen's.
Yeah.
Everybody that's watching this right now owns figures that Arlen has sculpted.
No, sorry, you're right. Like if you Serpentor is the big one that people are like, oh really? Like great,
okay.
as well as obviously Animal Wars of the Kingdom stuff. But at Joe Fest, you went to Joe Fest, right, Dom?
Of course.
Did you ever see like zombies in really old retro looking style?
Yes. I saved those guys to try and follow with them. Yes, those
That's
look
what
so
he's
cool.
working on. So he
Those
just
are so
literally
cool.
Yeah, and he just told you, oh yeah, there's nothing. No, that's the thing is like actually he's been
Yeah, there's
putting
not
that stuff
nothing.
out. Arlen's been
I mean, do
putting
you want me to
stuff
share?
out.
Do you want me to share screen?
Come on, man, it's cool
I
stuff,
mean-
and it's in progress. Here he is at 1 hour and 58 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
this-
So for those who are still here, like,
Well, you
get a
invited us.
separate
You
treat.
invited us
Yeah.
on for one thing. I also
Yeah.
don't like. I also
Exactly.
didn't put highly
Exactly.
articulated in there
Yeah.
until you asked what we got going on.
So
That's
I
the-
haven't finished my third Joe Fest video. It's in the editing process because of work, whatever. But that toy I highlighted in this third edit, and I was just narrating it yesterday, being like, "Man, I'm going to reach out to these guys because this looks super freaking interesting." So show us what you got.
Here, let me see.
Oh, I probably I put you the right here. Hold on.
Yeah, and folks, you know, there've been stuff at previous shows that
I agree.
you know, that have come out too. I'm still a little unclear as to what is what, because I think there's been Zombified, right?
Yes, these look really cool.
I know Spark is different, something else. But then wasn't there another zombie one? Didn't he? Did he have a different name, or is that
I
a
don't know. I
completely
don't know
different
how
line?
much I'm allowed to share.
Okay,
I
that's
can
fine.
answer
Don't worry
all
about
of
it.
those questions.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But my point
But-
is, if you've been paying attention to things like PowerCon, the last one, or you know, there've been photos on the internet of stuff that Arlen's been working on that he's even shared. You go to Arlen's stuff and you can kind of see some of it.
Yeah,
You can kind of see some things that are connected possibly to this. Either way, you know, there's stuff. It's not like, you know, yes, the final production toy isn't there, but there are designs and the response has been great.
So the project that this is why I say that it's kind of like a whole lot of news about nothing, is because this will be the first offering. This Space Zombies from Mars will be sort of the first offering. But it's a whole world, and we're looking at so like I said, we're in the weeds of like kind of just getting the business going and sort of registering all that kind of stuff before we sort of come out with any news. But effectively, like, this is effectively the equivalent of present day, but there would very likely be a line that was sort of in the past and very likely a line that would be in the future, all within the same sort of universe. Now, the universe will feel familiar, but not, it's not our universe. And so there's a whole lot of sort of aspects of that, you know, aren't the details that we're talking about, because those are the really fun, crazy, you know, the connectivity is the thing that I think for Arlen and I both kind of gets us really excited about. Like, so how will these work with the ones that are based in the past, and how are they work with the ones that are based in the future?
And this is 1/12 scale?
This is 1/12 scale, yes. So it is, it's more likely, it's not, again, this is like, it's not finalized, right? So it's probably more likely gonna scale with like Hasbro 1/12 scale stuff.
That's right. Okay.
So more of like a 6-inch scale rather than like a 1. So it's technically, I guess, like a 1/10 actually.
Where can people go find this right now on Instagram?
They can't. So that's
they can go to Toy Domination on YouTube.
No, but I mean, if you check out Arlen's stuff, I mean, if you want to sort of see, and if you want to get an idea, like, just pay attention to what Arlen's sculpting, because ultimately, you know, Arlen is going to be the creative, and I will be the getting things done type of person.
Let me just say this too, and Adam kind of broke down some real heady, fun stuff about like the past, the present.
I didn't even. I will say this.
Let me pause you on that, because I know there's so much more, but you know, it's almost like you don't need to. The bottom left, there's this big green in this amazing type that says "Space Zombies from Mars."
I know.
That's it, Adam. You kind of skipped over that. Just look at that and let that sit in your brain for a second, and there you go.
There you go. This is the creator. You can find him on IG. I just found here's one of the concept suits. Yeah, there he is. So go check it out.
Space Zombies from Mars.
Yeah, I took the little card at the table. I took some pictures of this, and I was like, I want to know more about this. Like, this is cool.
So what I will say is, like, for the Kickstarter, like, we this is what's messed up, and this is why it's kind of like silly and ridiculous. The Kickstarter's planned. Like, we know what it's gonna look like.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to make sure that, like, we've set up the back end first, because that's the thing that so many people forget to do first. But if you don't have a company and like a business plan and like all that stuff dialed in, it doesn't matter what you do with your Kickstarter, because you're gonna just not know what to do. we know exactly how much our molds are going to cost for all the figures that we need to make. We know
Yeah,
exactly all that kind of stuff.
If you were to do it right now,
we know the factory that's going to do it. We know all of that stuff. We've got all of that stuff lined up. We just don't have a company so that's what we're working on now. The Kickstarter, though, okay, here's some of the fun things, and this is what they got me with as far as like, hey, what do you think about like being involved? They're like, and we have an LP, like a record that will be the soundtrack. And we have the comic book, and I've read the like the treatment for the comic book, not the art,
great.
but like I've read the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm in. I am 100% in on this. Because it started as a thing where Arlen wanted to sculpt a very specific thing, and he did, and he's like, what am I going to do with this? And then he did that, and then him and his brother, who are musicians, were like, well, what if we do a record? And they did a soundtrack, and then his brother's involved with sort of the background for some of the story and stuff like that. And then I came in and I was like, but what if? And then it was like, oh yeah, we're going to do that. So it's like this ever evolving, ever more awesome thing.
What genre is the music in? Is it like Rob Zombie? Like what? Okay, you can't even tell me the genre. Okay, all right, got it. All right.
You gotta wait and see.
You know, and I just realized this sculpt in particular doesn't show off. It shows a lot of the space, but not a lot of the zombies.
Oh no, I had the zombie one.
Yeah, this is zombie. Well, yeah, that's
show the zombie.
Yeah, because they Joe Fest, they had a really there it is.
There you go. Done.
We've got a Kickstarter exclusive as well, which I'm really excited about. And if you know me, there's two things in toys that I really, really love, and it's only one of the two, but
translucent or glow in the dark.
And one of them works for this, and one of them doesn't. So
okay.
Yeah, this is cool, man. Hey, so you're gonna come back on our show in the future and you're gonna talk about that. When you have more things that you don't have to like beat around the bush with your very, very vague.
Yeah.
What lends to a thing with a guy, there's design and maybe some stuff. Like, oh
no, it's a really cool, like it's really, really fun for me because I am not a creative. I've said that before and I will say it again. Somebody was like, hey, what have you ever thought about starting a Toyland? And I was like, no, absolutely not, because it would be so derivative, and it would be like people would look at their toy line that I would come up with and they would go like, well, why should I buy that? It's AWOK. And I'd be like, I don't like, I know what I like, but I wouldn't know where to begin with sort of coming up with something original.
Right. How to apply it.
So I'm just latching on and riding the coattails of creatives and having an absolute blast.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, so we're gonna have you guys come back on again. We're gonna talk about space zombies from Mars, because this is one of my cues from Joe Fest, or one of my takeaways from Joe Fest, that eventually I'll get that third video out. Right now, I just have to be a slave for the man, but eventually I'll get there. So this is awesome. Buried the lead on this one, Adam, but what a cool surprise for everyone who watched this far into this show. So all right, now we're out of the news for the second time now. All right.
I will say this one last thing, because this is we hear this all the time. There will be women in the first wave.
Oh, interesting. That is interesting. Very cool, man. All right, cool.
I've forgotten what they look like, but okay, cool.
It looks the same as the man. It just has the head sculpt.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. Well, because they got the suits they can hide.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's kind of an easy one. It's an easy one. And
That's why I used to do that with body armor.
Makes it one of those like, well, if you don't, you're just ridiculous.
Yeah. So I used to do that with body armor for G.I. Joes. I'm like, it's a female head, but body armor, you can't tell because it's all one big block. So yeah. So, okay.
And cool. I mean, Sig Toy Arts, I think is like joking, but like, yeah, 100%. If we're doing, zombie heads that are men, of course we're gonna do zombie heads that are women.
Yeah. Oh, he's got to put a coin in the jar for that one. Maybe I have to do it because I showed that. I don't know. So we've loosened up on the profanity here because no children watch this show. So that was the biggest reason. Like, oh, what if kids watch this? Like, no kids watch this. So, all right.
We're kidding ourselves.
Yeah. So, okay. That's serious to the end, unless Brick's going to be like, oh, by the way, I'm designing a new comic.
Brick's starting a rug making company.
Yeah. Well, cue the news. All right. Hey. Thanks so
The
much,
shape
guys,
of
for coming
voice.
on here. Thanks everybody who caught the show and is in the chat. Really appreciate it. Loved all the commentary going on tonight. Leave a comment because we'll show it in the next show. We have the Savage Land coming on next week. I probably should have said it way at the beginning. He's got these table full of awesome classified and Marvel Legends dioramas. Really cool photographer. He's got a YouTube channel and he makes all these exotic setups. Takes great pictures of them. He's playing with his toys while he's doing photography because the lengths he goes to set this stuff up. It's really great. So really fun. Can't wait to have him on. And then I can't remember what's after that. And I think we're going to talk to Sig about why mechs suck so bad. So on that note, we'll see you guys. Thanks for coming. And there was no pie. I lied. I lied to everybody.